We have a microphone.
Finally, after all that. Welcome to the chat room. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to yet another
hello
live stream.
Yeah, I unplugged the microphone sometime back because I didn't think it should be drawing power when it was not in use. And, I didn't plug it in.
You didn't check to see if even the light was on. I mean...
I can't see light. Can you see light?
Yes, I can see the light, and you just lift the thing up when you're working on it. Hey, hi.
Not to mention hackers listening.
Yeah, heaven forbid that they listen in on our conversations.
I decided since we're so professional, I would not shave today, but that's fine because you all remember me with a beard.
Oh yeah, you got that T-shirt, huh?
Yeah, I'm wearing the Calvin's Kitchen.
Yeah, I was gonna remake that.
Yeah, it's
and get a new
doggedly
version,
delicious.
But I couldn't get it because the company I was ordering it from, I ordered that one from, stopped carrying them.
Yeah, it just went from too cold to too warm in here.
Amazing that. Hello, Lo-Fi. Hi there, everybody. And yes, welcome to our first fall live stream for this year.
Lo-Fi, turn the quality down.
I don't think that's what it means.
No?
No.
That's sort of the opposite of hi-fi.
Well, you'd think. Yes. So, any rate, yes, it's fall finally and that's my favorite time of year. I have always been crazy about it. It's part of the reason why Tilly's Tale was set in the Fall Festival, the Harvest Festival, which is the last event at the school before the school year ends. And this is the summer session. So both Tilly and Ifeo's game and Sammy's game take place during this set between where the main games would go if we ever got to make the main games, yes. Okay. Arlo Hero.
Well, first we have Brombin saying,
Brombin.
Happy Saturday, David turning in. Hello, David.
Okay.
And Arlo Hero says...
visiting your house must be like in some game where you meet the mystical riddling gnome and gradually realize he's the one behind the game universe the whole time. Not too sure.
Well, we actually have, some secrets here and there, and file cabinets and the bookshelves and our notebooks. So there is some mystical stuff there. Other than that, it's, basically clutter. But although it's lots and lots of succulents and pots, which Lori's been getting into the last couple of years.
Places to put plants in, yes.
Yes, as in ceramics.
Ceramics, yes. And the Halloween things are being tricked out.
They're coming out.
Yes. And I am making more and more luminaries, yes. And
so I have an orange Post-it note right here.
You do. What's that orange Post-it note?
It's got the prices of paints from Keller Williams.
What is the reason you brought that statement up?
Because it was orange like pumpkins.
It was orange like pumpkins.
And
random notes.
And here's the sticker I got yesterday when I got my flu shot.
Yes. Because we are adults here. And
yeah. I was looking at the stickers with obvious interest, and they said, "Oh, would you like a sticker? You may have one."
Okay. Yes.
I had a tough time between that and there was another really cool one.
I passed. I said
there was one.
I can live without another sticker. Yes, thank you. Good afternoon to the calls and to everyone in chat. Exactly. And I'm looking for Hut of Brown. Well, so are we, but we haven't found it yet.
Hut of Brown?
Hut of Brown.
A Hut of Brown. Oh, we've seen a few. They get shared with us on Facebook occasionally.
Yes, but, getting to live out in the woods in your little personal hut with your skulls all around it, and nobody could come in.
Well, we had that, but we sold that house.
Unfortunately. We did once at the ranch, the Flying Aardvark Ranch, we once had... jack-o'-lanterns on the fence posts almost down for, I think I had 20 of them all decorated, or at least up there, whether they were decorated or not, on the fence posts. It was really cool.
And they had laser eyes and
No, they did not. They did not have that.
Darn.
But then our friend came over and we shot them off the fence posts with his guns, because that's what you do when you live out in the country.
Did the house fly away? Close. We had some pretty good windstorms. We lost a lot of trees.
Yeah.
But the house survived.
Yeah, apparently. Has anyone seen the new video on DALL-E 3? Apparently it does stickers. Huh, no, I haven't seen that. I have been playing with a little bit of it, and I've been learning a little bit of the AI stuff in Photoshop because they just came out with a version of it, and I now have it stuck in my computer, so therefore I have done some backgrounds for various photos I post on Facebook. So some of those are generated, and some of the ones I've had for advertising this live stream have had some AI generation in the background.
Yeah, so she had a scene with a old castle in the background, a relatively new-looking castle in the background, and was that in a video you were watching?
I don't know
The
which
castle.
one.
Anyway, that
I have
changed
one
it.
behind.
That changed the castle to a fantasy castle.
Oh yeah, that was a video that I
Yeah.
was watching, or actually the tutorial for Photoshop was doing that.
Now, the ethical issue on that is that fantasy castle it had in the background is probably just a direct copy of a fantasy painting of a castle that they found somewhere in their database.
No, they're not supposed to.
They're not supposed to, but they do.
Well, we'll see. I mean, they'll get called on it eventually. There's a lot of debate out there on how, how much they're copying, and of course, there's lawsuits now for ChatGPT and things like that of copying famous authors' works. So
Yeah, so you say write it in this style of what's his name? Wrote Game of Thrones.
yes,
That guy. George R. R. Martin, yes. Right in the style of George R. R. Martin, and instead what it does is it copies entire passages out of Martin's writing.
That's just poor programming, because honestly, you learn in college how to do that
But that
by
is-
transcribing it in a way that it
Writing the
doesn't...
the
Yes.
exact same thing with
Right.
rearranged a little.
Right, with the words not quite the same as what you just read. So
Lori
yeah.
went to a college that taught plagiarism as a
Yes, it was an art and a skill to survive. Or at least that was what some of the science classes I had that expected you to draw the diagram of the dissected worm such that it actually resembled anything that looked like in the book. And eventually we learned the trick is you just copy the diagram in the book and pretend that that's what you saw in that thing on your table.
Yes, I recall getting a failing grade on one assignment in 12th grade chemistry because I put down my actual numbers and they didn't match the what was supposed to happen.
Right, exactly. How, tin can pie that you had to take
A string around the bottom
string
of
around
the tin
that
can.
and measure, and you're supposed to get to 3.16, and nothing like that, oh well. So, schools.
Well, Wikipedia is pretty much the main reference source I use, so that was something I've observed over the last 5 or 10 years on the internet, is it's really good for getting a quick answer to a simple question, and it is really bad for giving you detailed research results.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really want to know in depth,
Yes,
how to program-
Wikipedia is as good as its
Yeah.
contributor editors and the subject. You have to check your subjects. And anything that is capable of being biased will be. Yes.
Roadworks Gaming had the equivalent of AP Chemistry, and the experiments never worked properly. No future is Walter White for me.
Ah, yes, indeed. That was, we had AP Chemistry too, and I don't know, my brother and I were in the same class, so we had interesting times, I'll tell you that.
My school schedule got thrown off thoroughly by spending years as an exchange student in Germany. So I had biology in 9th grade, chemistry in 10th grade. Then 11th grade, where I would have had physics, I was in Germany, and I did have a physics class there and a chemistry class. The problem is that for them it was like 7th year chemistry. For me, for the U.S. you get 1 year of chemistry, and so I was learning organic chemistry and such, and all the ketones and aldehydes and
Brings
such.
back fond memories of almost burning down the lab with the Bunsen burners.
Yeah, so I was told the year after I left Abington, Pennsylvania, that someone went into the in the chemistry class did in fact blow up the lab.
And in my chemistry class, a kid I knew from elementary school tried to make dynamite, and did it by trying to grind something in a mortar and pestle and set off spark, and basically,
Burned off his fingers?
damn near killed himself.
Oh, good stuff.
So yeah, chemistry, teaching kids life lessons,
Important ones, yes. And death lessons.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a friend that made gunpowder in his driveway, or in the garage or just outside the garage, and he would take sulfur and
Really?
charcoal. I guess he had saltpeter, but I never quite understood what the third ingredient was, and mixed them all together and successfully made black powder and was able to, set it on fire.
Honestly, it's that time of year where people go back to school, so that's why we're having this conversation, and all
Yes.
of our games are about life lessons in some way. Let's see. Reminds me of a quote my physics professor recited. If it's green or moves, it's biology. If it stinks, it's chemistry. If it doesn't work, it's physics. Okay? Let's see. I feel like in today's world there would be some serious consequences for trying to create dynamite in school. Well, they're kind of, serious consequences.
Yeah, but it's expected.
Yes, for trying to do it in school in our age too.
Yeah.
Only those were more permanent, serious consequences.
And so the properly educated people make dynamite. Those that have not had the correct chemistry training bring an AR-15 style rifle.
I see. Yeah, so this is where you guys got all the dark humor from. Yeah, well, we come by it honestly.
Well, dark humor-wise, when I was in, I think it was junior high, might have been ninth grade, two of the a pair of brothers who were students in one of the class did a amateur film, and they made a safety film, and how to stay safe. And they had one amazing scene with two people setting themselves on fire or something, and I later rented a film that was what was the Wolfman Meets Frankenstein or something like Abbott and Costello and Meet Frankenstein or something like that from the school library, and I discovered that the film had been spliced and there was a section missing from it where
which kind of resembled what was in
it was exactly identical to
Yeah.
the missing part was would have been exactly what I saw.
Amazing.
And the lead in, they start to catch fire and then it cut.
Okay.
And the other one they had was this kid is blowing snow with a snowblower, and then it doesn't seem to be working right, and he reaches in and they show bloody guts spewing out over. It was a great film. Anyway, so they were probably the next Lucas or Spielberg of our school, but yeah, they literally spliced in a piece of film from a film they checked out from the local library.
Yes, in those dark days where we had to use film for that.
Yes, literal 8mm
Yes,
film.
literal 8mm. I did stop motion graphics and some live action, some claymation in high school. These were the things I like to do.
Well, apparently these things are available.
Yeah.
My friends are doing it, but not for me. So
no.
I was obviously in the wrong classes.
I did take a film
sugar.
class. I took a film history class, and I took a film. I don't have any idea what it was really called or what it was supposed to be, but it was sort of a free-form lab of here's the equipment, do what you will, and we did because we had the opportunity. That's the kind of classes that really make a difference in your life, that you really can learn things.
And of course,
if you're the right personality.
Yes.
There's the key.
And of course, if it doesn't work, it's physics. Reminds me of one of my favorite jokes, which I've already heard a million times. But so this mathematician, a physicist, and an engineer are all attending a conference, and they have partying, and they're up late at night drinking, and they come back to their hotel rooms, and by an amazing coincidence, I guess it was back in the days of smoking.
Yes, they smoked a cigarette and threw it in the trash can and went to bed.
And they wake up smelling smoke. And so the chemist wakes up and smells smoke and sees there's a fire in the trash can and says, well, here's the mechanism, starts up fire, and if I add water to that, it's going to deprive it of oxygen, and the fire won't work. So he fills up a bucket, the ice bucket, with water and dumps it into his trash can, and the fire goes out. And about the same time, the physicist wakes up, and there's the same issue. And he says, okay, well, let's figure out the amount of energy transfer and the materials involved and the heat. And he takes out another piece of paper that hasn't burned up yet, fortunately, and makes some notes
His
and comes
slide
up.
rule. Obviously, he takes out his slide,
Slide rule, yeah.
Yep.
Because this was pre-calculator days.
Yes, right.
And goes in and gets exactly 750 milliliters of water for the tap and pours it on and exactly puts out the fire. And then he goes back to bed. Then the mathematician wakes up and senses a similar problem and goes and, okay, well, this is going to take some calculation. So he does all the same mathematical calculations the physicist does and says, okay, the problem has a solution, and goes back to bed.
Yes. That's a joke, son. Okay.
Some tell it better than me.
Some tell it better, yes.
How would you tell it, Lori?
I wouldn't tell it like that, yes. Good afternoon, Kells and chats from Sybil.
Sybil Seeker.
Yes, and Arlo says, I remember reading a story about Steve Jobs deliberately putting a device he made to sound like a ticking bomb in his locker so that the bright vice principal ran outside with it and threw himself on the ground with it to protect the students. A kid pulling that plank would end up in jail today.
And the vice principal today would run away and lock all the doors so that...
right.
Yes. Yeah, right.
The slide rule is my generation's T1...
TI-89.
All right, fine. Texas
Instruments, yeah.
Yes.
Back when TI owned the calculator industry.
Yes, my generation was the ones to come in with actually using pocket calculators instead of slide rules. I never learned to...
Whereas the best I ever got was a Casio.
Well, Casio. Yes, we owned Casios. We didn't own the real thing. Your father would own it, though. I don't think my father ever owned one.
I think when I was a young teenager, I owned a Timex watch, but later I got a Casio
yes,
watch.
we all had those Casio digital watches, yes.
They were cheap.
Happy first day of fall, everyone. Yes.
Is it?
Exactly.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
You
didn't realize
yesterday,
it yesterday or today.
Yeah.
It's still close enough. Yes, it's fall. Fine. My dad had a Hewlett Packard. Yes.
Yep.
And Arlo says, I still have a Don't Panic sticker taped to my old TI-89. I'm sure the battery is dead by now, though.
And probably corroded all through it.
I had a solar one.
Yeah.
I was so thrilled, and it lasted for bloody ever. Yeah.
Maybe
You guys need to check Facebook, okay? I was on it earlier today, but I wasn't on our page.
What's happening on Facebook?
Yep. Exactly.
Has the world ended?
Yeah. TI-85 was my generation's TI-89.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, and there was so it was TI and HP, but I just mean for the first day of fall memes.
Okay.
Okay.
First day of fall memes, good, because we didn't want it.
I'll look it up.
Somebody tried to tell me that my website was down yesterday, and it was a bogus thingy.
Okay, well, I simply desktop. I simply did a web search in Bing of first day of fall memes, and there are many. Happy fall, y'all!
This is why Florida can't have nice things. Yeah.
What is
Okay. It's the pumpkins that are melting there.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll bet you don't keep pumpkins very long in that situation. Yeah.
Yes, we've had pumpkins in that condition.
Yeah, it doesn't take very long.
We keep them for buds.
Yeah,
We've had some that survived quite a while.
Yeah, and I've had those that disintegrated. Literally that the next year the seeds that were left in it hatched, and we had pumpkin plants.
Here we are. Happy first day of fall in Florida.
Oh, okay. Well, that looks like legit and not very funny,
Pumpkin in the surf.
Snow, yeah. Well, that you could say here. We have pumpkins here.
Brace yourselves. Pumpkin flavored everything is coming.
And it's true.
That's not very funny either, but
no.
I like pumpkins. I made myself a pumpkin spice latte this morning.
Did you have your Starbucks
It was
experience?
it was used with Starbucks creamer that says effectively inspired by
Oh,
Starbucks pumpkin
I
spice lattes.
see. A rip-off of Starbucks thing, yes.
Well, it's the best they can do for home use.
But it wasn't Starbucks brand?
Yeah, Starbucks brand.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Inspired, huh?
Inspired
Interesting.
by
They can't
the
copy
PSL.
it? That's really interesting. I put it back on us, so they can't see it.
Friends, it's still 85 degrees outside. That one's got a cute cat.
Okay, yeah, but
And
they
a
can't
scarf.
see that.
Why is it wearing? Oh, a scarf and a sweater because it's fall.
I put it on webcam, so therefore they are not seeing
Oh,
it. That's
well
what I
then,
was
should I
trying
bring it
to
up?
tell you. If you wanted to show it off, you can't.
This is a random search result.
Yeah, okay.
Friends, it's still 85 degrees outside.
I can't take it.
Poor
but
kitty
no,
is.
Sorry. I suffer from heat. I don't like that at all.
I'm comfortable in my blanket.
We brought our boys pumpkin spice cupcakes and Twinkies from Target today. Yeah, I saw the Twinkies.
Trader Joe's has a lot of pumpkin spice flavored stuff.
Yes.
The one year they had a pumpkin spice ice cream or just pumpkin ice cream that was absolutely delicious, and then they didn't have it the next 2 years.
Yes. Well, Corey had to go to the local ice cream parlor.
Yes,
to
twice.
get his pumpkin ice cream.
Yes, I've had from Handel's, which is in Oceanside and Carlsbad. I've had their pumpkin pie ice cream, which has basically tastes like brown sugar, but I think it's supposed to be pie crust.
Yeah, I know. It's like crunching into. Yeah.
It's like pure brown sugar.
Yeah.
Now, I used to eat pure brown sugar chunks, the cubes. So
Yeah.
fine with me.
Yes. Isn't that thing like 2,000 calories? It's like a full lunch, but drinkable. Yeah, really.
Nice. I've been drinking PSLs all week. I had one. Don't want to kill my body's ability to produce insulin. Yeah, I've been told I'm pre-diabetic for probably the last 20
And
years.
we had pumpkin spice muffins that we did buy, and we got pumpkin bread.
Yeah.
We even have pumpkin bread that we bought from the.
Were the pumpkin spice muffins? Were they from? That was.
We made the pumpkin spice muffins.
Yeah, the pumpkin spice
Those
muffins
a
were.
Jiffy mix type of
Was
thing.
was it Jiffy? Oh yeah, yes. That was. Was that from? I was trying to think if that was from Trader Joe's.
No.
I don't think so.
No, it was.
Yeah, I do have pumpkin bread that I've eaten most of, but there's a little bit left.
Yes.
Uh,
And that was
it
from
is-
a farmer's market.
Yeah, we went to. So last 2 days in a row, we went to farmers markets.
Yeah.
We're
That's
actually
kind of
getting out of the house occasionally now.
Amazing. We're getting some exercise and things like that.
Yeah, I got a part of a study called All of Us. That's a overall, nationwide or international. I think it's nationwide, but it might be international health study, and they arranged for me to get a free Fitbit. So that's been encouraging me to actually get out and exercise some.
Yep.
In 24 minutes, it will tell me I didn't get my exercise for the hour. I'm in a hurry.
Tisk. Did you see a cute centaur there? No, I haven't seen the cute centaur one.
At the farmer's market?
I don't
No?
know. I don't know. Starbucks, they don't have them very often. Farmers markets are fun, and we have two in our immediate area. One is, within 5 miles.
Wednesday afternoons and Thursday mornings.
Yeah. Right. So, then in this town of Oceanside, we have a farmer's market in the morning, and in the same general area, we have the Sunset Market, which is effectively all the things that farmers markets are if you take out all the farmers.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of food dealers.
Yeah,
Got a lot of.
yeah, it's got all sorts of food table booths and crafts.
Yeah.
And then and stuff.
Yeah.
There is a florist. There's a plant seller.
orchids. There's plants.
They sell orchids.
And cut flower person.
Cut flowers, she says. She wanders off. I think she's getting a demo item from the other room. But we'll find out when she gets back.
It's what we got at the street fair.
But most importantly, the Sunset Market has the pupusa vendor.
I see the Sunset.
Oh
Market.
yes, this is that's
stained
Lori's
glass.
top secret birthday present that
The
she picked
stained
out.
glass black bat, which
What are the eyes?
the eyes are poked are stuck on, I think. They may be green solder for that matter. I can't tell. But really cute. I have a whole collection of these from the same person who does it from that market. And the only problem with it is it's opaque. We have stained glass that is totally opaque. Not even, like obsidian, which you can see through the light. It's like, this is kind of a,
it's glass. It's not stained glass.
Huh?
It's glass.
It's stained glass, Corey.
It's stained glass style, yeah.
Yeah. But it's just the idea. Sort of bizarre.
But cute. So we managed to kill a half hour without, well, I guess we're talking about fall festivals. Fall festivals. So yeah, if you're ever in Oceanside, California on a Thursday, make sure the evening you go out to the Sunset Market. Lori actually went in the mid-afternoon. Is that one? That one's got a little bit of translucency.
Yes, it is. You put it up at the light, it will shine through. This is a true stained glass. The other one is like...
The light isn't even on, and there's enough light here. That's interesting.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Didn't you realize these cameras
I'm sitting here in the dark.
Are magic. Just like everything else in the world
Well,
is
I'm a little
magic.
bit more pixelated because of it.
Yeah, that will be a problem, yes.
Maybe you
Low
should turn
light.
on the light.
Oh, I could. Shame in Quest for Glory 4, there was no pumpkin garlic shake for the heroes, and we didn't think of it. We missed a bet.
Gosh. Oh, that light came on. Oh, maybe it's too bright.
Now you'll be bright. Now you'll be red. All right, let's see.
Yeah, well, you're lit up anyway.
Yes, well. Bit of
This-
an
this side of me
oxymoron.
has no
Yes,
light.
opaque glass. Yes, exactly. It's like... I feel like I would just show up at your house uninvited. Well, you
probably could.
uninvited, probably not, but invited you to, if you ever are in this Oceanside, let us know. We'll at least go out to dinner with you. What's up with all the electric guitar music in Quest for Glory 4, by the way?
That Aubrey liked it?
Yeah, that's basically. I talked to him when we were beginning the project, when he was first put on, and we said, what kind of music do you like? I mean, I wanted to go with the kind of John Williams kind of thing. He says, Oingo Boingo Man, what's his face?
Who's on your
Yes, the leader of who does
the lead singer?
the lead guy who eventually became a major composer for all important movies that we ever liked, like Beetlejuice and that.
Are you talking about the keyboardist for Oingo Boingo?
I am talking about the lead singer, the creator that did all of the music for Batman and
I know his name, but it's not popping into my head.
Yeah, I know.
You know his name too.
Yes, I do, and I can't think of it all of a sudden. But he introduced Aubrey introduced me to that Danny Elfman's music.
Danny Elfman, yes.
Exactly. And so he was the one that first. There were only a couple things by him out before then, and he said he wanted to do it in Elfman style, and I said, "Wow, yes, go ahead." And therefore, he went off on his way and did the whole thing. Yes.
Similarly, with we did simultaneously. Lori did Mixed Up Fairy Tales, and I did Castle Dr. Brain. And Mark Siebert was in charge of the music for both of them. And so we decided that we wanted classical music for Mixed Up Fairy Tales, and he came up with a whole series of classical-ish pieces that would work well. And then he said, well, how about rock ballads for Castle Dr. Brain? And I'm like, well, I don't know what a rock ballad is, but sounds good. I like ballads. And so he came up with a really pretty edgy music for that that fits it perfectly.
Yep. Yes, it actually seemed strange to me in the beginning, but it grew on me. Yes, I agree. It's same for me. It was like bizarre, but I mean, and then taking the classical music like Hall of the Mountain King and that, and giving it a modern twist. I really like that.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Yeah, except he changed the rhythm a little.
Yes, yes. I love me some Quest for Glory 4 music, especially Arana's Garden. Can't compare to Chance Thomas's work, though. No.
Well, it does. It does compare, but in a different ways.
Not as favorably, though.
Yeah, the thing with Chance Thomas is he had 2 years plus to work on this.
But he didn't really. I mean, he had that first
Okay.
album out within the first year.
Okay.
The album, because we
And
had
that was
no
pretty
game.
much the music.
And that set the music, and then I
But then you
know
got to tweak it
he
after that.
probably worked the whole time, yes.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah. So, that was phenomenal. We were very, very fortunate in those cases that we had what we got. You know, it was just lucky.
I can never remember what OST stands for, if it's original soundtrack or official soundtrack or
Well, somebody will be sure to tell
orchestral
us.
soundtrack. How about?
Ah, okay. Yes. And so then when we went to make Road to Redemption, we wanted to go something similar to what we've had in the past. And fortunately, our composer there was really good at it. And I love our theme song, even though it wasn't as appropriate for the game as it could have
Am I
been.
talking about Hero You?
Hero You,
Oh,
Road
yeah.
to Redemption.
Yes.
And the chance then to make an orchestra version of it, with a live orchestra, just was awesome.
Awesome. Yes.
So, music and voices make so much difference in a game, yes. I think it kind of added a lightheartedness to the otherwise darker than usual game. That's true.
And I think, if I recall, he used electric guitars for some of the scary scenes, like the monsters in the
Yes,
castle,
some of the fights.
the goons.
The fights,
Yeah.
in particular, when they were revving up the thing. And then, of course, Chance did all sorts of things, like
So
the
lighthearted darkness.
weird-ass electrical music for exercising, and just, if you don't have the album, I really recommend finding
Yeah,
it.
it's got a few extra pieces in it that aren't in the game.
Yes.
So.
And that Gnome Anne's in there with people in
With
the
the
background.
accordion.
The accordion, yes.
Oompa music.
The Oompa music was just really, really funny. And, I think he recorded...
Wait, does that suggest that No Man is really an Oompa Loompa?
No, it does
No.
not. It does not.
Could be.
Sorry.
She's the right height.
So I was going to go with Fall Festival time. So, yes, we talked about street fairs, but in our games, of course, we're all talking about the autumn harvest festival, and that's the standard idea for all three games is about trying to put on this festival in spite of everything that has to happen in the world. And
So fall's an interesting time of year. It's starts out warm, gets a little bit cooler as it goes on, but it's as the skies are becoming darker, the days are becoming shorter. That to some people that's kind of a spooky time, and we've definitely been out sometimes when it's really misty and overcast, where it just really feels ominous and spooky.
yeah,
So,
I mean, like really,
bring out the little thing with the pumpkins. So
thing with the
outside,
pumpkin,
yeah,
this
that one,
thing?
yeah, that thing.
that thing,
So this is a JP Selwood based on. It's got. Oh, there we go. If I angle it down, it
yeah,
doesn't
you
get
have
so
to
much
do it
glare.
carefully.
I'm changing angles here, not to get the right angle.
It's printed on metal, so therefore it really gets the reflections.
Anyways, this is the outside of the town in Moldavia, and yeah, you can see this is all in metal. And this one hasn't fallen down and started peeling like 3 times like the other
No,
one.
the other one was older and it went through the mill. This one's peeling a little.
The other one, yeah.
Oh well.
So we do have outside the town the pumpkins and stuff, which are appropriate to fall, but also associated with Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, Quest for Glory 4 was our magnum opus in a lot of ways. It had every trope we ever wanted to put into a game. So,
And most importantly, Halloween, because Laurie loves Halloween.
yes, because I've always loved Halloween. I love the Halloween feel. And, yeah. It's 58 in Connecticut. Ridiculously cold. Well, honestly,
Yeah, that's cooler than me.
Yeah, San Diego area is supposed to be hot and sunny and, sunshine city. And we have had gloomy and dark and everything you'd want out of, Portland, what you think of the Pacific Northwest. So to me, it's been like awesome. A day without sunshine is like a day of really, really cool.
Yes, that is one of the travel posters from the travel poster set we gave out
Yes,
with
yeah.
Hero U Road to Redemption.
And if anybody wants to have a copy of it to print for themselves, we will be glad to send you the JPEG for it.
Might have it posted somewhere else.
We
Is
do.
it part of
We
Patreon?
have- Maybe Patreon. You'd have to go
I
looking
wonder if you
for
go
it.
see our Patreon. I'll do that
Let's
while Lori.
see. Yes, you
Lori's
guys
on.
do have a knack for capturing the spirit of the world around you in your games. We try our best. And yes, the best weather for this time of year. And sometimes she listens to the R2R soundtrack. That's great. Haven't listened to it too often. I've got to find it on my computer.
Is it a mental post?
Honestly, I will admit that I have been listening to music videos that were for Good Omens too. So that's the thing I've been listening to. Belzar says, as a photographer, do you find the light in spring and autumn is different than the rest of the year and better for capturing images? Somehow the light seems to have a special clarity and quality and surroundings seem darker and sharper and crisper. You are correct. When I read, I didn't actually go to any real school for it. I've taken a couple day seminars on photography, but read a lot of books and things. And they said that between 10 and 4 is the worst time of day to photograph because the angle of the sun is harsh and light is harsh and it's just nasty. Well, when you come to the fall and the sun is at a slightly, more angular thing, the light is hitting you differently, and therefore it's not as harsh, and you can pretty much take pictures any time of day and really have it look much better than it did. But still, the time of day is important for photography. But as a photographer like I am that takes cosplay and things like that where you're inside a convention center or you're outside and barely in the sun or in the shade and you don't have a choice, you just learn how to adapt to it
And use Photoshop.
and the modern programs like Photoshop and
Lightroom, yeah,
will
is much
be
less expensive.
able to compensate for the harshness of the sun and things like that.
So you should all.
And because the sun's at a different angle, you have a longer window of, so you can go doing it till 11 to about 4. That's when the sun gets harsh again. But after and before, you can get some nice pictures if you're doing landscapes and things like that, yes.
Okay, so I just went on. It took me a few minutes, but I went on to our Patreon, and then I typed in a search query on our posts for poster. And that showed me all the posters. This was one, but quite a few of them. This was one of the ones from that was done for Hero U, but isn't actually a scene out of Hero U, Pegasus in a Roman Garden.
It's in the back. It's in a wall.
But we did some Halloween things. So for 2020, we had 3 Halloween posters with Tilly and different Halloween costumes.
And so you can download those. You can have those as your wallpaper for fall.
So I did not actually find the one we have behind us.
No,
it's
that
probably
was
not
probably
posted
before
there.
Patreon.
Yeah.
But
But we do a lot of holiday things in there. Here was the Harvest Festival
yes,
last year.
that's a good picture.
It's,
Can you blow that one
yeah.
up? There we go. That should have been this one. Well, we'll have another live stream, but we won't. So yeah, there we go. That's a perfect background. Look at those pumpkins.
Now, only one of these 3 characters, of the 4 characters, only one of them is actually in Summer Days Tilly's Tale,
Yeah.
which is Tilly. And then we have a Feo from a Feo's Adventure. And then we have Sammy from Sammy's Story.
Yay! The unicorn pick is my mouse pad. Talk about it.
Oh, this one here. Yeah.
That unicorn pick is.
Yep, that's what I use all the time.
Yep.
It's a little small. I have a larger mouse pad under it, but and this one's starting to curl at the edges, so I'll probably have to abandon it
Oh well, but we
at some point.
we do.
But yes, did that come from the Cafe Press?
That is a Cafe Press. Yes.
Yes, that's from Lori's Cafe Press, which somebody has a link to. You should share.
It's on the it's on the website if you ever see that.
On Hero U.
Yeah, here we go.
Okay, so if
We would. Believe me, we were supposed to get our website updated, and we never did.
somebody
All right,
worked on
see
it.
store.
Okay, you go to hero-u.com and you click on store, and you get to the Hero U Rogue Redemption
There's
store.
the mouse pad. What do
There
you
it
know?
is.
Yay!
So yeah, let me link that to you guys in the sidebar. Pop.
Yes, he ordered it from the website. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
In theory, we,
And in theory, there would be royalties from it if Lori ever logged on to find out what royalties they are.
No, they only send you royalties if you
I thought
sell
you had to-
over a certain amount, and
I thought you had
otherwise
to ask
they
for
give
them.
you credit. So yeah, let's see. All right, Arlo
That's
says
a smug.
that's got the well, you can't,
Missy?
huh? Yeah, well, it's got the sea serpent from this upcoming
Oh,
game.
look, you can get different,
yeah, those are different. They weren't
colors,
available
yeah.
when I last look on this website. Gee, the dark blue will work really well with it.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you know? All right,
So what do we know?
any rate, the Christmas ornaments are back up, I think. Yeah, they took
Ornaments?
them down. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Here's the 2017 Singing Meeps.
Yes. They took them off for the summer. I'll see if they're still available.
Don't know
What
how to
are
make
they
that bigger.
doing?
Maybe
They're
this.
supposed to be the full screen. Whatever they're doing, that's just
It just doesn't work.
no. I mean,
Oh,
honestly,
well.
they probably haven't updated their things. Let's see. We didn't. Wow, didn't realize
here's a,
Cafe Press was that shitty. Not giving you shirts. Well, you know they they figure if it's less than $50, it's not worth it. So they'll keep that in. You know.
I mean, it's the same thing. I use itch.io, and itch.io basically accumulates all the money that people pay for the games. And every once in a while, I think to log on to it, and they say, oh, you know, we owe you $300. I say, oh, I guess I should collect that.
So, at any rate, poor Arlo said quite a while ago, I have to tell you two things about my recent trip. 1.3 weeks ago, I went hang gliding.
Number one, 3 weeks ago.
Okay, fine. 1.3 weeks ago. Yes, I went hang gliding over the Swiss Alps wearing my white sweater, beige vest, and blue jeans. Actually, I was overdressed. It was very hot. We had to carry our own equipment to the top of the mountain. But I'm a dedicated Quest for Glory fan. That is just awesome. I hope you got pictures.
Yeah,
of that.
you need to share pictures with us. Put it on our Discord community.
Yeah, really, that's awesome. And let's see. 2, I think Quest for Glory 1 actually took place in Switzerland, not Germany. And it's on the border. I mean,
There are numerous references to alpine villages, such as the Matterhorn, which is in Switzerland, and German is spoken in Switzerland.
that's true. It's supposed to be in the Black Forest region, actually.
Switzerland has 3 languages, doesn't it? Isn't it German, French, and Basque, or Castilian, or something?
I don't know about that.
So let's see. We'll look for.
I
I've been
think
doing
you
all
don't
these
pull out
searches.
until your earnings reach a certain threshold. Yes. Haha, 1.3 is. Let's see. I always thought Quest for Glory 1 was set in generic Grimm's fairy tale land, but with different mythologies blended in to make it unique. Well, yeah, more or less that's the real truth, because I wanted to go with all the familiar tropes of, fairy tale land.
Oh, there are 4 national languages in Switzerland.
There we go.
German, French, Italian, and Romanish.
Oh, really? There's enough of that?
There's enough Romanish to be an official language.
Cool.
German, French, and Italian maintain equal status as official languages at the national level within the federal administration of the Swiss Confederation. While Romansh, it's Romansh, not Romanish. Romansh is used in dealings with people who speak it.
Okay.
That's since they don't
Latin is occasionally
use-
used.
they don't
we
use
have
the
our
G word.
We're actually showing the websites and things we're looking on. I don't know.
So the Rovers speak Romansh.
Yeah, clearly. Yes. Italian, yes. 4. Not Basque, but some remote language, yes. And I think German, French, and Italian are the others, yes. Exactly. So you are up to date with your languages that are there.
Wrong, but up to date.
Well,
Let's see. Linguistic diversity. Here we go. Can I click on this? Maybe. Nope.
what?
There's a little picture
German,
there.
French, and Italian? What?
German is the most widely spoken language, but not the standard German of Germany. It's a collection of Swiss German dialects.
Yeah, imagine it's
Vary by
probably
region or
very
hard to
hard.
understand.
So it's really becomes Swiss.
French is the second most common language,
Well, I just
spoken
got back
mainly
there, yeah.
in the West.
Yes.
It's
But-
similar to French of France with some difference of vocabulary spelling.
Okay, KK.
Italian.
We do not need to show off a Wikipedia,
Yeah, we do.
Microsoft Bing page, yes. Yeah.
Well, it's a Bing page. It's going to Wikipedia.
Yeah. Well, it's going to copy everything.
So interestingly, was Quest for Glory one actually set in Switzerland?
No.
No.
However, it's on the border, so the Swiss influence is definitely there. I mean,
Okay, so the setting for Heroes Quest, Quest for Glory 1 was very carefully chosen. And what we, basically that when Ken Williams hired us to make a role-playing game for Sierra, he wanted something that captured all of the standard tropes of what is a role-playing game. So almost all role-playing games that we knew of on the computer were basically set in a Tolkien-like European, either England or Europe setting. And so we said, okay, we should go with the European one. But since it's planned to be a series, we don't have to stay there. We can have the first game using very familiar location and tropes, and then do different cultures as we go along.
right. One thing we wanted to keep the player familiar with what was, the first game, so that they understood a lot of the tropes and that, like they did with King's Quest, we wanted that audience to feel like, okay, I understand the world that this game is.
I'm at home here, yes.
Yeah, right.
And it also didn't hurt that I spent a year in high school as an exchange student in Germany, so I knew just enough German vocabulary to be able to sprinkle in a few German words and phrases throughout the game. And then after that, for the later games, Lori did all the research and started acquiring dictionaries, whereas I already had Langenscheid and Kinderduden, I think, dictionaries for German. But we're sitting around forever.
Actually, I took the train out to a remote part of the country to
This is back to Switzerland.
Yes, to attend an annual festival they
Yay,
have,
festival!
where they recreate a Roman festival that would have been in a genuine excavated Roman town. Cool. It was remote enough that they only spoke German, though, and I had to figure it out without speaking the language. Oh, fun stuff, though, yeah.
There are a lot of cognates in German to English, because a lot of English came from German.
How do you explain the reference to the Matterhorn, then? Because it's in Disneyland? I don't know. I don't even know what
the Matterhorn's in Disneyland. It's not in Switzerland.
Yeah,
Come on,
right.
don't be silly.
Yeah, get it.
Bobsleds.
Yes.
Is there a Matterhorn reference in Quest for Glory? There's a
no,
Zauberberg is the magic mountain,
Yeah.
which is where Erasmus and Fenris live.
Yeah. But I'm not sure if there's...
If there's a Matterhorn reference, it's a joke, son.
Yeah, really, which we do that. When translating games to other languages, how do you manage to translate the puns? We don't.
Most of our games don't get translated, so it's easy.
But when they do have puns, we have told the person, and we did have
that's
Road
true.
to Redemption.
Went to German and French,
Yes.
And we basically told the translator, if there is a similar construct we're doing the pun, use it, and if not, come up with something similarly funny in the language, or if you can't,
Just
translate
make
it
it
straight.
straight. Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. You scaled the Matterhorn in full armor. Well, that doesn't say that the hero was from Spielberg.
Right. It means he has
And
visited
in
the Matterhorn.
No, he knows the reference, but he certainly hadn't visited the Matterhorn. But he
But it
actually
does not say the Matterhorn is in Spielberg Valley.
Yeah, and we don't actually. I don't know whether the town that the hero came from is technically in German, because this is almost on the border. And where's Switzerland relative to Germany?
Come on! The hero's named Devon Aidendale, and everyone knows that's an English name. So hero came from England,
Clearly it is clear.
or Albion as we call it,
Right.
or albumin as we call it in
Our games,
our humorous fantasy games.
Yes. There we go.
So anyway, we were talking about something. I don't know.
Matterhorn in full armor, but yeah.
How do we translate the puns?
Yeah.
So we basically tell them if they don't have a good translation for the pun, don't do it. Our Chinese translator, and we actually almost came out with Hero U in Chinese, except we lost communication with them because they weren't expecting the game to take an extra 3 years after they started. They said basically, we can't do these puns. We'll just give you straight translations. So we said, that's fine.
Yes, when I think
So you just play them straight.
the hero is from, Switzerland or something like that, which would explain the reference then.
Yeah.
If assuming Switzerland, where's Switzerland?
But the
relative
hero
to
at the beginning of
where we are?
Hero's Quest could not afford armor, so
No,
he's never had full armor.
Yeah, it's clearly he read about it in a book,
Probably by the famous adventurer.
So yeah, it's all the point. So we have made it to the festival part. Yeah, we have
Several times.
Yes.
In different contexts.
Yes, indeed. We are covering it, and he went to that Roman festival. Sounds really.
No, the hero's not from
interesting.
Britain. The hero is comes a hero from the east, and
Well, Britain
east.
is to the east.
No, Britain is to the west of Germany.
Oh, okay.
Lori's a little now she may have thought that Britain was to the east of
But
Germany.
no,
when she
that
wrote that.
prophecy is from Samaria. From Samaria, and he is from the west. From that one too.
Yeah.
Gee,
All right.
I'm bad, I guess.
Well, let me try this.
Dyslexia, it strikes
Okay,
again.
let's try this too. Comes a hero from... No, this is in Hero's Quest. This
From the
prophecy
east.
frees the man from in the beast.
Okay,
Yes,
fine.
that is Hero's Quest.
All right. Well, where is Switzerland? I mean, he didn't come east. Jeez, I think because he comes in theory from the east, but is that from the east?
He comes from the east.
No, he's coming from the west in our game. So it's like
No, the game's in the Black Forest area, and he's coming from central Germany.
I mean, when he comes into the game, he's coming from the west. And,
No. The way we drew the map, and the way I always visualized it,
all right, fine.
he is coming from the east.
Okay, fine.
If the top of the screen is north,
All right.
because we only had one orientation, the top of the screen is north.
Yes, and he had to
And
come
he
along
comes
an
from the
east
right, which is
path.
east.
So it doesn't matter where he came from to get to that path. He was coming from the east. Okay, fine.
Yeah, but I always assumed that he was from a town that was a few miles, or maybe 20 to 50 miles east of Spielberg.
Could be, but I always thought he was from the west. Oh well.
Yeah, well, you were confused.
Well, the road.
It's a good thing
can
you
swing
weren't
around,
writing the
yes.
game. You'd have gotten it all wrong.
Yeah, with swing. Yes, I still remember the dead ant pun joke from Quest for Glory 3. When I read it in Spanish, it just didn't make sense. Yeah, right. Until someone many years later told me to sing the song from the Pink Panther with the words in English.
There are two different. There's another song that other people did it
What
too.
it is? Besides
Yeah, there was another song that somebody else came up with that
Okay.
was it, and it also fit perfectly.
Oh, okay. Well, you'd have to.
Okay, so the story of the dead ant joke came from a group of our friends that were gamers. There was a local game club, and they were also active in some of the science fiction conventions in the area. And there was one guy that was a bit overweight and had a reputation for being completely lazy and useless, and someone described him as a dead ant. And they then told us a story about what happens with ants when they die. Is that basically when an ant dies, that they will just leave him there, and everybody else will make the trail around it.
No, it's
Is
not correct.
Is that the wrong story?
That's
okay.
the wrong story.
What's the right story?
The right story is when ants die, they give off a pheromone, and the ants will take that ant and they will put it in their trash pile.
Oh yeah,
That's dead ant.
that's right. All the junk.
All the junk. So
droppings
they
and
all
stuff.
have a trash can, and they will take the dead ant body and they'll put it in the trash can. Well, some lovely scientist found out how to distill essence of dead ant, and they put a drop of it on a live ant, and all the ants decided it was dead, and they would try to haul him over to the trash can, despite his protestations to the contrary.
And then he would walk away from the
Trash
trash
can
pile, and they would pick him up
grab it.
again and take him back there.
Right, so...
All right, that was a different story,
Yes,
though.
but whether or not he was alive, eventually he did die because of the treatment, but so therefore, he was a dead ant. A dead ant walking, and we think some of these people that we've met in the past
Yes.
are really much
I mean, people
dead
who
ant.
just, you've got people putting on a science fiction convention. You've got some of the people that hang around and do absolutely nothing while everyone else does the work.
Well,
So they're the dead ants.
But the real dead ants are also psychic vampires, so that's a different thing.
Psychic vampires. It's a Halloween thing.
It is, truly, yes.
Yes, the psychic vampire was the term we heard for people that basically drain you of all your energy.
Right. By being around you.
By being around you
they're so much Eeyore that they're a black hole of morose, dullness, or they're the opposite, the kind that are constantly ask you questions and want you to get them to help and wants you to be part of their life, and they drain you just because they keep wanting so much from you. So that's also a psychic vampire.
And of course, the word morose comes into filking because particularly depressing filk songs are known as ose songs. And why are they known as that? It's because people enjoy them so much that they keep wanting to do other ones. So they keep saying, more ose, more ose, more ose.
Yes, that's a filking joke, yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the dead ants, so we were just fascinated with the concept of dead ants, and so we had to have a dead ant joke, and then we did come up with the rhythm of dead ant, 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 dead ant.
Yeah.
But I think we had but somebody else
I don't
said,
know.
"Oh yeah, I know what that's from," and they did.
Okay.
I can't remember.
You tell, comes the...
It was a classical. It wasn't Hall Mountain King, but it was something like that.
Okay,
something I'd
good.
agree or whatever, and
All right.
and it fit perfectly.
Thanks. I've had a few, Arlo, saying, you're looking at the people who inspired me to want to travel the world. Awesome. I'm so glad, because we never did.
Yeah, we
And
should travel the world, shouldn't we?
Yeah,
See, I went.
yeah. And Belsar said, folks that only take and never give, then, basically. Yes.
Yes.
But more than that, they're always, needing something.
Yeah, they're always there, and they expect other people to take care of them.
Yeah.
While you're trying to get work done. I'm one of those. I'm the dead ant in this relationship. So yeah, we inspired people to travel the world. I've done some world travel. I was an exchange student in Germany in high school, and then when I graduated, I got a job working up in Vancouver, British Columbia, which is foreign to the U.S., and later on worked a few months in Toronto. So I've been a few places, and Lori had never been anywhere.
I had been across the border to Mexico, on the
she had
border
been-
towns.
Oh yes, and as a baby, my father had videos of me being carried in a carrier on my mother's back or on his back in Mexico.
So yeah, I had crossed the border, and so by the time I was old, I had got to Toronto one time. That was my
went to the
foray
Toronto-
into Canada.
Which one I had to miss. I had to skip.
Yep.
So she went up there with a friend, and she went out to Georgia
Toronto
for Dragon
is
Con with a
wonderful.
friend because I had to miss
That's
that one
not-
too.
That's not out. That's not out of the country though.
No, but
And
it
it
is.
wasn't until we went to Barcelona.
Yeah, so we went to
the first
Barcelona,
time for
Spain
Christmas time.
with Michael and his wife Annette, our son, and that was wonderful. We spent a week there,
And that was my first real trip out of the country.
and then a few months
Out
later,
of the continent, at any
a
rate.
few months later, we went to London.
Yeah. So All
and with
exciting.
side
Oh.
trips to Paris and the Black Forest in Germany.
So the other thing that happened about this time of year was PAX West. And the T-shirt I have on is the one we gave to everybody that came to work at our booth at PAX, because we had an entire, half the Facebook gaming group.
Yeah, Roberta Vaughn from the Classic Gamers Guild on Facebook is anything but a dead ant, and she said, "Oh, you guys should be showing this, upcoming summer days at PAX West." And she made all the arrangements and found us a. We were trying to get in with a group of indie developers. That there was an indie ghetto, effectively, and that fell through. And then she managed to find us a booth on the third floor instead, which was a whole lot nicer.
Yeah.
We finally, when we were there, we went to visit the indie ghetto, and everybody crammed in with no space.
Yeah, so we were really lucky that things
So
didn't
we had our
work
own
out
booth
right.
up on the third floor, and it was great.
And we had the entire community that kept coming and going and congregating at our stand.
We got like 20 or 30 helper badges, and they were like, "You have that many staff members?" And said, "Oh, yes.
Yes, all of them, yeah.
For all the people that came by to help us with the booth, and stayed in 2 Airbnbs with the group. So that was a great experience.
Yeah.
It was not out of the country, but
Yes, that's the most recent.
and pure chaos
Yeah.
at the beginning, because all the professional exhibitors had gotten there, days in advance and set up their thing, and we got there at like the last minute before the show was going to open, and
Yeah.
couldn't find where we were supposed to park to unload our truck and stuff.
Yeah, it was chaos, but it was a lot of fun. It was nice to be with the community. So if you ever get to PAX West, there's always a great adventure game group that shows up there. So, but we didn't make it since then.
Arlo hiked. Oh yes, I visited Italy too, because Arlo hiked an ancient Roman pass through the Alps.
Yeah.
And can imagine on his way from Britain or whatever, he had to follow those passes along the Alps. Yeah, I went on a class trip with my my class in Germany to Rome, and while we were there, we visited a catacomb, which became an inspiration for the catacombs in the one game, and got to visit Roman ruins and stuff, and all sorts of interesting things. So yeah, I had before I was 20, I had my travel experiences. Then I didn't have any more for the next 40 years.
Yeah. Our travel experiences were creating worlds. So we had to live in those worlds for a while, which was interesting. Yeah.
And as Arlo says, just like FA, they said they never actually traveled themselves.
Yes.
And when I met them, they explained that the purpose of the FA story arc is to teach you that you accomplished it yourself. I've learned the same lesson as the hero. It's like I've come full circle. I like that.
Yes,
I don't think we
that's
ever
great.
said that, but I love it.
No.
Okay, so yeah, it's all about, well, the famous adventurer is there to inspire adventurers to go out and have adventures. And maybe he didn't actually have them all himself, but
Yeah.
he knows how to tell the stories about them in order to inspire other people.
Right.
So that's our job, is to inspire.
Let's see.
How did you like Toronto? I spent 3 months in Toronto.
You spent.
Yeah, I love Toronto. It's one of the, it's a really nice. I also worked in Minneapolis, which is
And
another
you worked in
wonderful city.
Vancouver.
I worked in Vancouver, which is
The Canada part of Vancouver.
really nice.
Yeah.
Yep, Vancouver, Canada, as opposed to Vancouver, Washington.
Uh-huh.
Ah,
Yeah.
oh,
you
here it says
said
we
it's-
did say it.
yeah,
I just don't remember it.
live stream about the being anticlimactic. The meeting was anticlimactic. Yes. But then again, there are, you didn't get to meet the headmaster in our games because, this version of the famous adventurer is reclusive.
Yes,
But
really.
he likes to be a hero, and he likes to,
Likes to be a hero,
show
but
off.
he's not too sure about people.
Yes, it's the people part he doesn't like, yeah. Yeah.
And only part of that is from Lori herself.
Talking about mazes, I always felt that Castle Borgov was a bit empty. Was there supposed to be more stuff to do, or was it supposed to be like that?
Well, okay, so Quest for Glory 5 took about, it was either 2.5 or 3, and I always say it was 3.5 years, but,
Close to, yeah.
and people said, well, that game looked like it was rushed. Okay, so Quest for Glory 4, remember, I only worked full-time on design. Actually, 4 was the only one I worked full-time on design of.
Yeah.
Because 2, I was the lead programmer until I burned out on it. Quest for Glory 4, Lori and I actually collaborated on, which means that we created far too much content to fit in one game. But Sierra expected it to be done in their usual 1-year schedule. And then here we were with the new technology that we started with 3 of, having everything done with cameras and all sorts of 3D animation, so on, and that was converted down to 2D. The budget and the schedule were a mess.
Yes.
And
the
there
schedule was pushed back. I can't tell you how much time they actually had to program the thing because the SCI
system wasn't ready.
God, yes.
So it was a game that was made in not enough time.
Yes.
So by the time we got to Castle Borgov, which is near the end game, it was super rushed, and Lori and I did not create that much content for it, and if we had, it would have been cut.
Yeah. So yes, there should have been more. When we replayed the game on our live stream a year back.
I got lost in the castle.
Yes,
so.
And it was like, this is really boring.
Oh, I didn't think that.
Oh,
I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was boring, but I did get totally lost. There were puzzles I had trouble solving, and then it was like, where am I supposed to go here? There was nothing to direct you.
I love this new FA lore. I was wondering what his deal was in R2R. Were there any plans to show him eventually? We're going to make him anonymous. It was going to be a running joke that, he's affecting the lives of your characters, but you never actually get to see him because he's a recluse. And then maybe by the time we got to game 5, that you'd finally get to meet the actual guy because he'll be willing to see you then.
He's sort of like Arnie the Aardvark in Quest for Glory 3, who was based on Cerebus. Comics, and the idea that he's everything. So he's the famous archaeologist, the famous adventurer, the famous explorer, and so on. But so mostly he writes pamphlets about them. Yes, this is the famous headmaster, really. Or the regular headmaster who's inspired by the famous explorer, who's really the famous adventurer. And maybe they're all the same people. It's hard to say.
Like the Illuminati. Well. No, they're,
a lot less competent than the Illuminati.
Also, yes, there is no Illuminati in our games. But, for one thing, there's the people that are running the whole island of Sardonia. There's an Illuminati behind that. And there's reasons why the castle was... both abandoned and turned into the university. That's all in the understories of things. But there's also the Paladin group that have their own version of an Illuminati. And they try to basically bring good to the world in their group.
So Arlo Hero says, you guys have a thing for 5-parters, huh?
Yeah.
It's trying to give the moment in the spotlight to every character.
Yeah.
So if you go with the traditional Dungeons & Dragons classes, the original ones were Fighter, Magic User, and Cleric. Mm-hmm. And then they added on Thief in one of the expansions, and then Paladin.
Yeah,
so
I
think those
honestly,
are the original...
the first series was supposed to be 4 games, and we stuck in the 3rd. This Road to Redemption series was supposed to be probably 4 games, and then decided that, well, it would be great to have the real game that everybody gets, that all your characters get to be played.
Well, Ellen Guan Beeman convinced us that we had to have a game set in
Africa.
In Fricana.
Set it up.
That we'd set it up with Rakesh, and we said, oh yeah, sure. And that was part of feeling like, we weren't used to having a 2-year break between games, and that, people would get lost in the storyline, and that things would be, too stressful and stuff. So we decided, we had to put something in before Quest for Glory 4, which we knew was going to be kind of dark and very paranoid, and it was all about being alone and having to convince people to trust you and like you. and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
so we did.
so we probably could have gone straight to Mordavia, but we didn't think we could.
And we wouldn't have. I mean, it would have been a totally different game, and I'm so glad things worked
Yeah,
out.
it worked
the
out
way
perfectly.
They did, because you just never know.
And of course, I wouldn't have been working in the game if we
Right,
didn't
that's
immediately.
exactly. And 4 was such a shit show, but it really was, turned out to be a good game once you got all the bugs out of it. And, and got around the fact that it was too short of time to deal with it. Other than that, so Quest for Road to Redemption series, of course, which is the Hero U as opposed to Summer Days series, would have a wizard game next, and we have that story worked out, and then the warrior game, and then the paladin game that would basically close off this would close off the situation. And then we'd have the group game where you get to play the paladin, the warrior, and that by switching off characters to solve different problems with different characters. So rather than having a game where you could solve anything with multiple different solutions, you'd have to pick your character which was right to solve a different kind of problem. So it was a different mindset.
Yeah, Hero U could easily have been a wizard game because we actually came up with the main story beats for the wizard game first.
Yeah.
And then I think it was my decision that I said, well, we don't want people to think we're ripping off Harry Potter. And in hindsight, that actually would have been a really good thing, is get a lot of people that were fans of Harry Potter to come play our game because it was like Harry Potter. And I'm not a good marketer.
Nope.
So Arlo says, I guess it's difficult to picture Quest for Glory without exploring Rakesh and Uhura's homeland. Yeah, it really is a central part of the series. So glad it got done.
Yeah, and by the way, how is the Unity situation affecting us?
Pretty much not. So the Unity thing is, other than the fact it's appalling, but they had already caused us problems because when we started working with Unity, the whole idea is that, first of all, it was free, or you could get a commercial license, but the idea was that if you got a license, then you were paying a one-time fee for an eternal updates to the game system, and that every year or two, as they came out with a new version, you would get a free update to it. And then they decided they weren't going to do that, and that you had to get a subscription to it. That with these, so for instance, Hero U. Okay, so I'm getting a little budget thing here. Hero U had 30 people who worked on it over the course of the 5.5 years that we worked in the game. So we would have had to buy 30 licenses for every programmer and artist and music person and so on. And each of those was about $1,500 a year. And if you come out with the game in a year, that's okay. That's doable, But if you've got 30 people over 5 years, that's 150 times 1,500. That's $225,000 just for the Unity license for a game that's about how much it's grossed. So the new rule is that any game that has made over $1 million and that has had more than 1 million installs has to pay licensing fees per install. And it's like 20 cents per install or something like that. And that is ridiculous and unenforceable because you really can't tell how many installs there are for our games. But if we were up there making $1 million, I'd actually be pretty happy to make $1 million and pay a lot of taxes and fees. But our games, are under 500,000.
Yes, they already walked back on it. Yes, yeah. Because a lot of people.
Because I think people doing things like Stardew Valley, the very few bestsellers in indie games, we're getting those kind of numbers and saying, wait a second, we've been making these games under Unity for years, under a certain set of rules, and you're pulling the rug out from under us.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people really angry at Unity, and they screwed up.
So even if Unity had tried to enforce this, it wouldn't have affected us.
So I've been hearing a lot of good things about Godot for the last few years, and so a lot of people are looking into Godot, and in theory we could do that. I said, we should bring Sydney Hamilton back because she's the one that got us to change our in-house composer to work with Enkel. and I'm sure she can convert our Unity code to Godot.
So yeah, if Unity goes south, we will.
That would be the direction to go.
We have a backup plan, effectively. Arlo Hero says, I feel like you guys also tend to include a lot of references to the Bible, despite your games being a little different, not wanting to offend Wiccan and stuff. Well, we have references to everything. It's just one of those things.
I think there's references to the Bhagavad Gita, and there's certainly references to the Quran. And
well, not very many, because we're not that familiar with those, but we've certainly got references, to the Satanic Bible and things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we pulled it from everywhere. We are a non-denominational stealer of tropes, yes.
So I was a priest of Set at one point, where the Temple of Set was an offshoot from Aunt LaVey's Church of Satan. So we did pull things from the Satanic Rituals is one of their books. And, to us, that's all a role-playing thing. It's not it's not a real religion.
Yeah.
And it's not a real religion to the people in it either.
No.
They're
role-playing.
They're role-playing.
Really. Yeah. Let's see. The general consensus is we're after mobile game and free-to-play game. Yeah, really, free-to-play games, yeah, that's interesting. I wonder how they really figure they could ever do that. 20 cents per install seems very low, though the retroactive nature is unacceptable, and also the exploitive nature of people just writing scripts to install in a loop. Ah, okay.
Well, one of the things I was just thinking, because we had avoided doing a humble bundle with Hero U, because I said basically, we would get at best $1 a copy from that, and that would not pay for the development. Well, it turns out that selling the game at proper price, we still didn't make any money from it. Not enough to pay for the development. So I was just thinking, we should go back to Humble and see if they want to put us in a bundle.
Yes.
But if that happened, then we would get hundreds of thousands of installs from that, even though we wouldn't get much money per install.
Belzar, how can their original proposal be accurately tracked? Like, nobody knows. Like, what if you got a new computer, installed the game on your new computer, or if your computer crashed and hard drive died and you have to reinstall everything? Exactly.
Which happens with things like Photoshop that have limited license installs. Yeah,
tick me off all the time, because we're only allowed to have it on 2 computers.
Yeah, you have to uninstall it from your old computer, but you can't do that if your old computer died.
Yes. So, trick.
I never knew that Corey was QAnon.
Now you know. Yes. They own a spyware company. That's how they find out things. Godot is really pretty nice.
Actually, I was a dark priest, is what I was.
Yes, right. I once had a couple of LaVey books. Funny stuff, taken with a grain of salt, of course. Yes,
and of course, LaVey, did them.
He was a showman. He was a performer.
Yeah, so it's hard to say how seriously he took any of it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Aleister Crowley, that
yes, if you've ever heard
was
of him.
into sex and drugs and maybe
rock and roll before rock and roll was even existed. Yes. Yep. And
wrote all these books that were basically making fun of the readers.
Yep. So it's hard to tell. So yeah, we've done a lot of reading over the years. So and it's a wide references all pulled in. I mean, there are references to Terry Pratchett. There are references to Restaurant at the End of the Universe and things like that. They're just things that get pulled. Douglas Adams. All of these things get integrated into it.
Yeah. So we have the whole Seal of Solomon and stuff like that in Quest for Glory 2. And in a sense that's biblical, but it's not really. It's Kabbalah, which is sort of the post-biblical interpretations of the Bible and everything else. Yeah. So they were a mishmash to start with, and ours are more of a mishmash because we took it from anything we'd ever read about or knew about.
And to an extent, I'm a little guilty of that, because we do muck with the traditional what is a vampire, what is a werewolf, all these tropes that have been agreed upon. And as you watch movies and things, they keep getting wilder and wilder.
We have a raid in here.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thank you, Irish John. Irish John Games has brought in a raid.
Vasti Scallywag. They're having a party.
Tercietta, Davy Jones Locker, Scaparia with a Marlin Spike.
Well, welcome.
Walk the plank.
You have nothing better to do than join us here, but we're glad to have you. Generally speaking, we're just talking about game design and things right now.
Well, welcome, and talking about Quest for Glory and Hero U and summer
And you're
days
now following.
and
Yes,
festivals.
thank you. Yes, fall festivals and the fun that it is. We were guided here by Icy April Dawn.
Well, thank you, I see April Dawn.
Yeah, we are glad to have you.
So, by the way, that's Lori Cole,
Yes, yes. And
supposed
that is Corey Cole.
and there we go.
And we have designed games for many years.
We're the designers, quote, we, unquote, are the game designers of the Quest for Glory series, Castle Dr. Brain, Mixed Up Fairy Tales, Hero U Rogue to Redemption, and Mixed Up Fairy, I did said that one,
You did.
and Summer Days, and Shannara,
Yes.
or Shannara, depending on the way you like to pronounce it,
Yeah.
which really means that Lori does
I'm
about...
so happy this worked. Yes.
Hey.
We've had hell of a time trying to do raids.
Yeah, we tried to do a raid before, and we're always fumble with it.
Because we never get the interface right, yes.
So what we means is that Lori does most of the work of it and comes up with mostly creative ideas, and I'm often the public face of it because I'm a little more extroverted than she is.
And he gets to pay bills. That's the important
Yeah.
part, yeah.
Yeah, I keep the books.
Right. Arlo Hero says, I mean, the paladin can heal people. Yep, he can. The magic user dispels demons, and the hero and all the hero types bring a child back from the dead and stuff. Technically speaking, it
But
was.
see, that isn't a reference to the Bible. That is a reference to Tolkien and Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy fiction.
Yeah.
The hero's journey is all
Yes,
about
it's all,
dying and
Yes,
returning.
yes. In the hero's journey, you go through the death. You go through the realms of the dead to come back to life and things like that. Yeah.
So
Skills to pay the
So
bills.
yes, all the tropes that are out there we'll use, and if some of them have some title of the Bible at some point or to the Quran, we don't care. We'll use it.
We'll use it. Yeah. We're
we've got stuff out of the sagas, the Vikings,
the Norse sagas.
the Norse sagas, and Braugi the frost giant, and so on.
Yeah.
That's definitely not out of the Bible.
Yeah, my favorite alliterations of the sagas and things like
Yes,
that.
Larry wrote some great epic poetry for that. And, of course, Greek mythology, which predates the Bible. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we're not...
equal opportunity...
equal opportunity
stealers of tropes.
plagiarist, yes.
All right, Glory Quester says, question. So, I know you had the hidden 5th class in the Quest for Glory series, Wizard...
Warrior/Mage.
Yes, which can do elements from both classes. Was there any other plans to integrate the events between the Mage Thief and the Warrior Thief?
Well, we didn't. We didn't have a Warrior Mage. And in fact, what we actually have is the true Minimaxers roll their character up as a thief. Because it turned out that the thief has the most starting skills. And that meant that if they... and we had... Basically, if you wanted a skill that you didn't have, to get from 0 to 1 or 10 or whatever, you had to put at least 20 points into the skill. You had to pay extra to get new skills that you didn't have. And it turns out with their point system that Thief was the only class where you could get every single skill in the game by being very bad at all of them.
I'm also guilty, as Roadworks says at the bottom. I never actually played monoclass.
Okay, there you go. So anyway, so power gamers all play as a thief, and so Mage Thief is definitely a trope.
Yes.
Warrior Mage, not so much. We did go through when we decided that we wanted to make the original hero class of the Paladin. In D&D, a Paladin is basically a warrior with some holy powers. And since we did not have a cleric class in the game, we didn't want to do that. So we gave the Paladins, some healing and quasi-magical powers.
Yeah.
Which are pretty much stolen from D&D. But in D&D, you're basically a fighter. Mm-hmm. And we said, well, our paladins are pure and good and so on. Why should they have to be fighters? So we allowed wizards to become paladins. We allow thieves to become paladins, although that's a very narrow road.
The thief, yeah.
Yeah, a crippled thief. No. So any class can become a paladin. But there's not particularly a warrior mage class.
So Arlo Hero says, I feel if Christiana were here, she'd strongly disagree. Christiana being Elsa von Spellberg, who has
on the forums.
Been our chief supporter for many, many years.
She's the creator of the Quest for More Glory website.
Yes.
And on her website, when after Sierra canceled Quest for Glory 5 the first time around, Christiana and others put together a letter writing campaign to write physical paper letters, as well as nascent internet emails to Sierra to request / demand that they do Quest for Glory 5. And eventually, when Sierra broke off into branches and they had the Yosemite Entertainment Division in Oakhurst.
And had no other...
They didn't have any classic content.
They didn't have King's Quest. They didn't have Larry. They didn't have...
Police Quest.
Police Quest. So
they said,
well, what's left?
What's left? They said, Corey and Lori Cole still live here in Oakhurst. Yeah. They do? Oh, and so they called Lori and we had a meeting with them, and they said, well, we're thinking about, bringing back... the first one was we want to rebrand the Realm as World of Quest for Glory.
Yeah.
And
the Realm being a
early massively multiplayer online game.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, great. Quest for Glory is all about quests. What quest management features do you have for the Realm? And with the game about 2 to 3 months from release, they said, we haven't started on that yet.
Yeah.
So we kind of gently eased out the door, but they called Lori back a few months later and said, well, what about doing Quest for Glory 5? Mm-hmm. We can't commit to doing it, but if you want to, we'll hire you as a contractor to, do preliminary design on, and they eventually just hired her as an employee. Quest for Glory 5 was the only time Lori was ever a Sierra employee.
I was a contractor all those other years. Let's see, and...
So I went afield.
Christy S. says, focuses on Spelljammer on the shelf. Nice, yes. We have played all the D&D stuff for many, many years.
Do you have Spelljammer on the shelf?
I don't know. I didn't see it. I was looking. Spelljammer? Is there a Spelljammer thing? I don't see it.
Spelljammer.
But we definitely played Spelljammer.
Oh, I guess I could see there. I have a blue Hero U hat.
Spelljammer is really totally interfered with how D&D was played for us. But
it was a lot of fun.
Yes,
we played lots of games that went all around the multiverse.
Right, yeah. And
crystal spheres and all that sort of thing.
Duruk? What's that word? Duruk? Is Duruk 11?
Where are you?
Up there. First time chat.
Oh,
yes.
Duruk 11. Yeah, he's probably a dwarf.
Yes, obviously. You both have been such an influence on my young life. I just want to say thank you. You're very welcome.
And we're very young, too.
Yes,
we were just talking about how we're really still... we never grew up.
And Christy S. says, the classic jack of all trades. Yes. We do, we wanted the player to be able to play like they wanted to play, and jack of all trades means you can do anything and everything. It's fun. Yes.
I mean, just having the skill system in the first place, it's not about your character. I mean, that's the thing, and D&D is very structured on character classes.
Yes.
So if you are a thief, every time you go up an experience level, you get a few points to put into some skills. And
not very often.
And not very often.
You don't have skill. That is not a skill point system, D&D.
Yeah. So in general, it's all about the level base, and then you get a few hit points and
a few more abilities.
Every once in a while, you get a new spell.
Yeah.
So when I was first playing Dungeons and Dragons in Chicago, in Jack Eilrich's group, we had a player in there who had heard about us somehow through a friend and came to join our group, and he insisted on playing a thief character. And by that I mean that he played about 10 or 15 or 20 thief characters in the game because it was a killer game, and he always played a thief, and then he would go and check for traps. And
traps had like a 20% chance you could find it.
Your chance of finding a trap as a first level thief is about 15 or 20%. The rule was that if you didn't find it, then you had 50% of the remaining chance of setting it off. And you also had 1 to 6 hit points at first level.
Yes. So
every week he rolled up a thief. Every week his thief died. And the following week, none daunted, he would roll up a new thief. Yeah, D&D was not nice to thieves.
Yeah. So I feel as although I still feel they're a militant, nothing wrong with militant mages, rogues, etc. role supporting a belief in D&D. Truly. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, even games like World of Warcraft, it's really all about the combat.
Yeah, really.
And if because we've talked with that, we talked with a magazine in Germany about they didn't like combat in adventure games, and we said, well, we're really role playing game masquerading as an adventure game, but yeah, the question is how important is combat, and in a role playing game, it's pretty much the game.
Yeah.
You're pretty much building up your equipment, building up your skills, so you can fight better. Maybe that's a bit limiting because.
Well, we certainly considered it to be.
Yeah,
limited.
it's also. The games are also about storytelling.
So, Rogue to Redemption, we managed to
come up with a way that you could play it without ever fighting.
Yes. Let's see. So, what's the correct way to play a paladin wizard? Any way you
that makes
want
you happy.
To. Yes. Do you play as a paladin? Just wizard? No, you can play as a paladin. There's no conflict between paladin and wizard. You just use whichever skill works to solve a problem.
But we had most of the stuff we had was gated by skill.
Yes.
But some of them were gated by class, which was probably a mistake.
Yeah.
So in Quest for Glory 2, of course, you didn't have paladins yet in Quest for Glory 2 until the end. But if you went to the WIT, Wizards Institute of Technocery, I think that was only available for people that were magic user class.
Yeah, well,
even if you were a rogue with magic,
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure you could do that.
There wouldn't be anything to stop you if you could use the spells. Then you could.
Then you can find it.
That's
Yeah.
really, yeah.
They won't admit you though.
Well, they might. The realm equals the original Second Life. Is that? Yeah, I guess that's similar.
In a way.
Yeah. But
Very open-ended, very sandbox.
Glory Quester says, but if you pick warrior, then add magic skill in the build and decide not to have a shield, then you can do sword and spell and actually do wit. Ah, there we go.
Okay, good to know.
That was an unintentional side effect if you added magic.
I think that was intentional. We wanted anybody that had the magic skill to be able to do magical things.
And you're right. You give up a shield. There is a sacrifice to it, and it's not easy. But, you play it your way, yes. Is this about a game system you developed?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and sort of.
Yes.
We had developed a paper game system that we ran a campaign with for a while, really pretty short time, just a year or two, that we called Fantasy Guild. And the idea there was that people would be specialized and would join a guild that would teach them a particular skill, like a particular school of magic.
Yeah.
So you could learn the Frost School, and then you would get all spells relating to Frost. If you wanted to join a second guild, you could, but it would have the system that we had for skills in Quest for Glory, that you would have to pay a massive skill point upfront cost to join the other guild, and then it was relatively small cost to learn new abilities within a guild.
We had come from the school. Well, I had come from a background in role-playing games, paper role-playing games, where you get your experience translates into points that you use to buy up your skills. So you pick which skills you want to have, and so we kind of carried that out through the games.
Yeah.
That idea that you're gaining a certain amount of abilities, you could buy spells and things like that.
And that was certainly an influence, and that was called Arizona D&D. Mm-hmm. And the other influence was playing with Nick U. Turner. The U doesn't stand for anything, but gives him the abbreviation NUT and gives him the U. Turner. Nick's game was based on, not the Fantasy Trip, that's something else entirely. What was it called?
I don't know. It was really mathematically.
Anyway, it was a game system that was very complex, had charts and tables for everything.
Yeah. How do you decide not to have a shield? You just don't.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't actually know
maybe
yet.
the animated said there is no way to decide not to have
Right.
a shield.
I guess not, or just don't buy one. Yes, you don't worry about the last question. I have a scan of your paint, and okay, good. Let's see. And yes, my thief found the trap and disarmed. Now how to roll one another. Yeah.
Yep. So he would do things like hide in shadows, which was also about a 20% chance of success, which means that he usually got spotted, and then being the one hiding in shadows, they would immediately go after him.
Thief found a trap and became disarmed. Well, yeah, really. If you ever played in a Gary Gygax, the you know, the
Yeah, the Tomb
so-called
of Horrors.
creator. The Tomb of Horrors is a death trap, one and another. And we wanted to make sure that we did not have that aspect
Yes.
of D&D in our games.
Lori
Yes.
was just angry at a puzzle in Tomb of Horrors because there is a secret compartment that a thief can find by searching for secret doors, and that has a mechanism in there, and that if the thief successfully disarms the mechanism, then what
And
did
the
it do?
trap
Cut off
goes-
his hand, I
yeah,
think.
something
Sets
like-
off a trap.
It's like,
And it's like, okay, if you are playing cautiously, carefully, and correctly, you die.
yeah, so by...
The other one is the black hole at the end of a corridor.
yeah.
And of course, everyone assumes it's a portal someplace, and somebody goes through the portal. And one of the first rules of D&D is never split the party. So once the first person goes through and disappears, everyone says, "Oh, that's a portal," and they all go through and follow him, and they're all
Okay.
disintegrated by the
so,
black hole. And,
you know, the lot
and the
of the
DM
things...
tears up all the character sheets in
Yeah.
front of them and says, "Okay, time to roll up new characters."
So, all in all, our games were developed because of the games we'd played in the past, and sometimes despite those games, and because of them, because we didn't want to do anything like that. Yes.
Sometimes inspired by them and sometimes horrified by them, yes.
Wit accepted anyone, I believe. It was the Warrior Club that was more choosy. Yeah, they were, I mean, Fraternal Organ,
Fraternal Order of Fighters.
yeah, foe.
No.
Oh, wasn't
No, it was Eternal Order of Fighters.
Eternal, EOF, yes.
EOF,
Should
Eternal Order
have
of
been FOE. That would have made more
Fighters
sense.
Order of Eternium.
Yeah, I guess so. We could have made
maybe.
that work somehow.
Anyway, that was inspired by things like, the Elks Club and...
Yeah, on one hand, and the other was this concept of, elitism and
tough guys.
tough guys.
And
yeah.
the people at the gym that are all, members of a secret, a not-so-secret organization.
Yeah.
And they're all totally impressed with themselves. You got ants here.
Oh, you do. What do you know? Okay.
They're the tough guys, but they're not very honorable. So the idea here is you're supposed to figure out as a player that, you really maybe don't want to go entirely that way.
So, yes. So then Arlo points out in Quest for Glory 3, the Paladin can't do the magic battle with the Leopard Man. Yeah, well, choices have consequences. So, yes, you can't do something because your choices. In Quest for Glory 4, he doesn't see the fairy fountain because only the wizard could see the fairy fountain.
They're attuned, and they've done the whole magical staff quest in Quest for Glory 3,
and the
presumably.
wizard can't do the Rusalka. This is the reason we created the game, was to give you this replayability, that you would always find something new if you played it differently, so that choices really do matter. So yeah, you can't just play the game once with the mega character hero and actually do everything.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing that we approve of but don't approve of in the LucasArts games. So in Secret of Monkey Island, if you get into a dialogue with a character, so one of the rules of all of the LucasArts games is you cannot die in their games. And they make a couple tiny exceptions here and there, but basically it's designed to be forgiving.
Yes.
So you get in a conversation with a character, and their philosophy means that you can't come up with the wrong answer.
Right.
So what they have is lots and lots of choices, and they have a funny answer for every choice. And eventually you're supposed to get to the dialogue that actually is meaningful, or some of them are just for fun. But that means you can go back and go through every line of dialogue every time. So for people with FOMO, fear of missing out, it's, their games are awesome.
Yes,
You can't miss out.
games if you are FOMO.
But we wanted to have the feeling that if you're having a conversation with a person, it's supposed to feel natural. It's supposed to feel like you're actually talking to that person. So we decided for a couple of our games, and the more recent ones, that when you choose a Hero U and in Summer Days, that if you choose the dialogue option, the conversation continues from that point. You can't say, well, let's go back and ask something else. You can sort of, like if you're talking to Joe, you can say, let me see your merchandise.
Yeah.
But you can't restart a conversation.
Yeah.
And they're both valid ways of making a game.
Yeah, we've tried many different things. Arlo Hero, save the Rusalka, of course. You're the hero after all. Yes. But really, it's the Paladin's story. So
We all know that the only reason someone wants to save Rusalka is because she's hot.
Well, yeah, of course. That and the fact you're basically a good person and you really want to help her.
Oh, that too,
That
yeah.
too, yes. Yes. Love that. Players' options introduce skills brought by points, and magic cast by points also could have a two-handed maniac running around backed up by cast spells. Yeah, but it's hard to cast a spell because we did have this concept. It's hard to cast a spell with somatic in terms of D&D aspects when
Well,
you're holding
your
a
greatsword.
two-handed greatsword. So there are decisions in that.
We always thought the ultimate thief in D&D would be a thief with
that's-
some wizard spells, so you could cast invisibility. You know, why hide in shadows when you're completely invisible?
Right. ICE April Dawn says, too tired to stay longer. I hope you and the game developers I brought in, and you, Lori and Corey in chat, have a lot in common and a lot of fun together. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you very
joining
much.
us. We really, really, really appreciate this, and we love having new people to talk to.
Yeah, thank you for bringing
Yeah.
it. I was going to send people over to our YouTube channel, because we do have a YouTube channel. It's called Hero U Rogue Redemption, because we didn't get something simpler or shorter.
Because we never, we're good at marketing. You
click
could say
on
that.
it.
Yes, you did. You didn't get it.
I don't want to manage I want my channel.
Okay, there.
Okay, here we go. There's probably a shortcut to this, but here's a URL that gets you to the Hero U Rogue Redemption channel, and all of these streams I do post them up to YouTube, the Hero U Rogue Redemption. For the newcomers, I should also mention our Patreon channel, which is right here. This is our Patreon, and that helps us keep these streams going.
Yeah. Let's see. So
And
any rate.
you get to find out
Yeah.
stuff there.
Right. Arlo Hero says this is the Middle Ages and the girl was skinny dipping before marriage, bro. A true hero of that period would have burned her at the stake. Well, there's always problems.
And unfortunately, by the middle-aged mores, the boyfriend would have been fine.
Yeah, boyfriend would.
In fact,
even in all
he would have held the torch.
the folk songs that were out there, the guys half the time got away with that sort of thing.
And the girls are pregnant and have to deal with it.
Yes. This is a lighthearted fantasy series. I'd rather save the girl. Exactly.
Yeah, because you secretly want to take her home with you after you save her.
Yeah, you'd like
We
a
know
happy ending, and she
Yeah.
really doesn't give you a
She
happy
doesn't get a
ending.
happy
That's
ending,
a
yeah.
problem. She doesn't get a happy ending, but she has a happier ending because of your action.
She does
Yeah.
get revenge.
Yes, she does. Yes, well, sort of, more or less.
Okay, I prepare my ingredient. Half great axe. Introduce the somatic. Start swinging. And now the verbal to my picklock spell. Roars.
And crashes through the door. That's the real.
Yes, that's the
somatic.
the barbarian picklock spell.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Smashing the door.
That was done by a player I DM with. It was hilarious. Yeah. Wow.
What's the big deal with you, bro? You never played QFG, but you're just chilling with us?
Well, that's fine. We're talking games. Yes. I would like a game to use AI for dialogue. We'll see. It's coming. Believe me. Yes.
So so we've gone through, excuse me, gone through the various holy grails of gaming along the way. So the first one was the mass market. We're doing adventure games at Sierra, and Ken Williams wanted to break into the mass market. Mm-hmm. Well, we discovered that most players in the mass market are not that interested, or at least at that time, were not interested in science and fiction and fantasy things. So we brought in Police Quest. That brought in some people that didn't like fantasy games. But the real mass market wanted action games that didn't have a lot of puzzles and thinking.
Yeah.
And so that was when Quake and Doom and Castle Wolfenstein 3D and all the first-person shooters ended up taking over the mass market and killing off the adventure games.
Yeah.
So be careful what you wish for.
Okay.
Second one was the Hollywood game. That we wanted to have games that were, had the production values of a Hollywood film and full animation
Full
and
motion video.
full motion video. And they did those for a while and discovered that, well, the production costs are really high and they really look pretty cheesy because
Yeah, watch those old full motion video games.
we weren't spending $100 million on them like the Hollywood films were because we didn't have a big enough audience to justify
Yes,
that.
and Chris T.S., you're fine. Well, we really welcome you. I mean, you don't have to play our games to love games. And this is all about the love of games and game design and things like that.
It is.
Yeah, and it's like the Adventurers Guild. Random strangers off the street can come in and call themselves adventurers and fill up a seat on at the fireplace and come on and talk to you. Yeah. Found it on Steam, wish listed it, we'll try out the demo.
Anyway, but I was going to get to the AI's dialogue. So stage 3 was we said, okay, well, let's do something a lot like our original adventure games that had the typing input, but use voice input because that's a natural. People talk faster and easier than they type.
Except when they're talking because they're fumbling and making.
Yeah, if you ever try to use Siri or Google on your phone, it can be hard because you have to speak precisely, and that's the problem with parser games is you had to type precisely.
Yes.
So there was actually a game done by Nolan Bushnell, who started Atari and Chuck E. Cheese, with a partner that used was it the Google Dot or what's the Google thing for home automation? Anyway, used for voice input. And he set that game up as one where you're kind of walking around. Other people are having conversations, and you can catch pieces of the conversation. And as you interact with it by talking, then sometimes people answer your question stuff and give you more clues. All professional acting. So in a very limited domain, that was one. But the full voice input, the problem is the same as with a parser, is that it's real easy to say things that are not handled by the game, and then the game looks stupid.
Right.
So AI is the next stage, and you want to get AI to write the stories, but AI isn't very good at writing.
Sybil says, as
not
a
very
female
creative.
player, I still rescued the Rusalka because I wanted to be a hero.
Good for
That's
you.
why we created her in the first place, is to be rescued, to find, to be a hero. Yeah, I didn't care about her art style, yes. But I get the appeal for other players. It was... the design on the Rusalka was
It's a
probably
little more over the top than we expected.
Right. We really expected her to be, the water level to come here, so she was properly,
Just like Roberta in the hot tub.
Right. Roberta Williams.
Roberta in the hot tub with her...
Right. So we
with water
expected
over
her
her
to be
boobs.
completely G-rated, and we did not get something
We
that was
got-
G-rated.
we got something that
but
was,
it was cute. So,
PG-13
yeah,
maybe.
really, yeah. But
Not quite an R.
But yes, I did get a lot of feedback from young people. If you didn't play our games, the Rusalka is an undead creature in the water, and she's when you meet her, she's not wearing a lot of clothes. No
There's
clothes
very
at all.
long seaweed-colored
Yes,
hair.
green hair that is strategically placed like
Strategically draped, yes.
a Lady Godiva, so that you can't see anything. But she definitely is,
But you know that she's naked.
and she's a beautiful woman under that hair. So therefore, you have a choice of trying to save her if you're the right character. Otherwise, she's likely to
Otherwise,
pull
she's
you
just a
in.
trap, yes.
She'll pull you into your watery death because that's what Rusalkai do. Yes.
So AI-generated random missions would be interesting for an MMORPG if the rewards are also unique and interesting. Yeah, so maybe with some player tweaking. That would be a fun experiment to do. Chris Crawford was working on this about 20 or 30 years ago, and he had his Erasmatron was his machine that was going to generate stories. And then he was doing a whole set of stories around Camelot and different characters, so with King Arthur and Lancelot and Guinevere and so on. But never really, made great stories.
And Chris says, right now, the iron is heating up big time for pushing CRPGs. There's going to be so many flooding the market soon.
Yeah, so if you're trying to actually meet production schedules, it does make sense when you're developing an adventure and RPG to use something like ChatGPT or to give it some inputs, have it write some text for you, and then you go and manually edit it and tweak it to be what you want. I've actually tried using that for advertising copy, and initially I was amazed at the wonderful advertising copy it came up with, and then after the second or third reread, it's like, it's really not that good.
Let's see.
But yeah, you can certainly get more variety in that. So we were going to do a game at one. We've designed dozens of games for different people, none of which got made.
Yeah.
Only a few of which got made. But one of them involved having about 8 different characters with different skills and backgrounds that you would pick 3 or 4 of them for a given run, and that would have interactions. So having some AI assistance there to help us, do the dialogue and storylines for that would have made sense. Because otherwise, it's just too much.
Before the time. Yes, yes. FPSs give me vertigo, and Full Motion often has trouble finding decent actors and script writers for them. Yes, cheesy. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, right now is the Brewfest in World of Warcraft, and that always makes me seasick. So.
Yes. It gives him vertigo because they blur the screen when you're drunk
and give it a little shake and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that'll take you out. Yes.
Your riding is uneven.
Yes, and Chris T.S. says, I've had hundreds of RPG games I've dabbled with over the decades. Yes, present group has been playing for about 25 years now. That's just awesome to keep.
That's better than we managed. We got into the game industry, and we discovered once we got in the game industry that nobody played games anymore.
No, we didn't have time.
Nobody had time.
We do play with a D&D group.
Every other week. Every other week we get together with Richard Aronson is our dungeon master. He was the voice of Cedric, and he was the lead programmer on Conquest of the Longbow and Conquest of Camelot.
Games, yes, exactly. So we still keep in touch.
But yeah, we were in his campaign 45 years ago.
45 years ago. So we have been playing D&D and things like that.
But only occasionally.
I think the appeal for other players is not saving her so she stays hot. There we go. Yeah, because if you actually save her, she starts to look the undead thing that she really is.
Yeah, but her real purpose of the game is, is the folklore.
Yeah.
And that Lori pulled from Slavic tales.
This was definitely Slavic mythology that we were going from. Although, her accent was anything but she was fun to write. I love writing dialogue and things. And Belzar says, the Coles games are great. I really think you'll enjoy this. Thank you. And Bill Kuhn says, smart speakers don't let you stop to think when you're giving a command. Yeah,
I tend to sort of pause and stutter and so on. That doesn't work too well.
Yeah. Arlo Hero says, I don't actually play modern games. Don't like where the genre has gone. Yeah. I'm more of a retro reader games player of Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy. Well, that really puts you back into the purist
the pre-graphic
school.
Adventure,
the purist school, because Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy is one of the toughest games that was ever made in that era. And one of the most innovative, really. And Christy S. says, surprising how many new tabletop systems I've enjoyed that have been popped up within the 100 published every few years. Well, I'm glad you've kept up with it.
We always bought all the new game systems, and they started taking over multiple shelves in our house, but we never had time to play in it.
And when we were playing, we were always playing old stuff. So
we had our own system.
Old systems or the systems we created, yes. There is a fair amount of work into generating quests, and even some of the rogues
roguelites.
Basic, yes, because
Hero U Rogue Redemption actually started out as a roguelite or roguelike, and the idea was to have a rogue game that with story, and which is kind of contradictory to the whole genre of rogues, but never mind that. But we loved Rogue. I played it endlessly when I was working at Olivetti. We had it in our mainframe.
We had it on.
And we had it on the Atari ST.
Atari ST, which had a more graphic interface, which was fun. Really made it look fun because you were, much closer to the action and that. And so so we thought we'd make a rogue game, but it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah,
it's nothing like it.
The fans wanted a Sierra style game, and so we said, okay, give them what they want.
Yep. Yes. Let's see. I just care too much about the storyline. Yes, for me, games are an interactive story. Yes, that's what I think they should be. Yes, when companies start trying to cut costs with cut and paste graphics and the like, the genre went downhill for me.
Well, the big companies mostly don't do that. They spend a fortune on it.
Yeah.
So the question about story is a lot of would-be game designers, when they think that they are writing a game with a story, they think that they're writing a story. and the players will experience their story, which is exactly what happens if you read a book or go out to the movies. But games are all about interactivity and being in the game.
So
And
our philosophy is the player is writing the game.
Yeah, the player's writing the story, and we're giving you the pieces from which to construct the story that you want to write.
Right. So that's why we give you so many options in our game. I recall Square Enix remade a mystery game called The Portopia Serial Murder Case, with AI writing /engine, and the interface /word understanding is terrible. That just is so sad.
So frustrating.
Yes.
Uh,
There's nothing worse than the promise of just what you want to see in a game, and they don't deliver, because expectations versus reality.
I remember back in the day reading reading reviews of games and talking about the parser being bad. And they don't actually mean the parser is bad. They might have the greatest parser in the world, but parser is just a tool. Mm-hmm. So what's happening with game developers, like on one of the older Sierra games, is that the programmers are scripting a bunch of things, and we sort of tell them what to script, but a good game developer at Sierra would say, they didn't think about this case, let's put this in. So we had the said verb, S-A-I-D, maybe it's Said, the said verb in Sierra games, and that was what the player typed in. You said something. And so we could say said, look / parentheses, book, comma, tome, comma, something. Well, we could also make synonyms, but work might be one that isn't actually a synonym for book that in a context we would allow. And that would tell the parser that if the player types something like that interprets to that, then it gets caught, and you can have an if statement and say, then do this, say this, or whatever. And that's where the genius is of a well-written adventure game.
Everything has to be custom programmed, yeah.
And you want to basically get into players' minds, figure out what they're likely to ask, and then have a good response for it.
Yeah, and Chris Diaz says, I got you. I'm not a great fan of computer RPGs. It lacks the versatility, spontaneity, and face-to-face of tabletops. And there you have it. Exactly why we went into making games, because the games when we were there, the computer games when we were starting out, had nothing similar to a real D&D game in that. And we wanted to give at least the feel of a good D&D game.
Oh, I don't know. Temple of Upshai and Wizardry and Dungeon Master all did a pretty good job of it.
But they really weren't,
Ultimate not so much. But
didn't have versatility, didn't have spontaneity, and it didn't have the in-your-face of tabletops.
Yeah, the advantage of a computer RPG is that a tabletop game, you've got about 6 to 8 players around the table experiencing it. And if you run the game over and over again at conventions and stuff, then maybe you have a lifetime total of 50 people that ever get to experience the game. Then if you publish a module of it, maybe hundreds or thousands of people will play it, but you don't even get to interact with that. It's up to the individual dungeon masters. With a computer game, 100,000 people have played Quest for Glory. And they all get to experience some version of the stories.
On the concept of Rusalka and being a hero, is our games always have a strong moral compass. So therefore, we give you options to do things, but generally the best consequences are when you pick the right, good, quote unquote, solution, the good thing to do, and we try to accommodate the best we can. Arlo says, anyway, it's all for the best. Corey and Lori's games helped shape my young mind into the person I am today, and now I can go out and try to have my adventures in real life.
Oh, yeah, we ought to do that sometime.
Absolutely awesome. We're really proud of you and what you have done.
That's great.
That's just great, yes.
And we've gotten letters in from people that say that, I became a doctor in Guatemala because I was inspired by the idea of being a hero for your games.
Thank you, Chris T.S. Really
thanks for following us, Chris.
Yeah, and Rainwave gave us a nice set of triple meeps.
Yeah, triple, he said you can type in, it's kind of awkward because Transolar Games is the name of the stream. So Transo, Transo, is the abbreviation for our icon. So you can type in colon Transo U gives us our sheep. Transo Quirk gives you, with KWIRK, gives you the quirk symbol and so on. And the higher level ones, you have to be a higher level member, but we mostly don't pay much attention to that.
This name stinks says, Tim Kaine mentioned he has finally time to catch up on the games in his semi-retirement. Yep, it's just like, you can't go on vacation when you're working in the industry because either you don't have the money to pay for your vacation or you don't have the time to go on vacation.
Take a vacation, yeah.
Yeah, so you have to wait till you're retired to actually do things.
So we are still planning on that Greek Isles trip that Lori really wanted to do as research for Quest for Glory 5.
Someday.
We'll get there.
Christy S. says, yes, we meet up every Thursday afternoon, finish around midnight. Yo, guys, wow. Intermittent, long, weekend dedicated campaigns when worked allowed. We would have a weekend at our house, usually Thanksgiving weekend, when we were living up in the mountains, and we'd have people come from all over the state and sometimes from out of state to our house for the weekend, and then we would have these massive D&D games all weekend long. That was how we were keeping up with it. But no longer. We're living now in a very different place. And Belsar says, I know I'm looking...
We could have games here. We just need to have friends.
Well, that helps, yeah.
Friends who can travel.
Yeah. I know I'm looking forward to my retirement so I can start chipping away at the games and books that I'll have enough to last me until I die.
We gave away 90% of ours.
Yeah, well, at least you know you'll never be bored. That's the good thing, yes. And Christy S. says, yes, that'd be about 70% of games I glanced over and tossed into the, that goes in the archive of the nearly good enough, yeah.
Yep.
And Arlo Hero says, reminds me of Granddad from the Quest for More Glory forums.
Now, what you do with a game that is nearly good enough but not quite there is you modify it and you rewrite it. So in my first campaign in Chicago, the Dungeon Master at one point used Tegel Manor module from Judges Guild and ran us through, and it was really fascinating and all this detailed, interesting stuff. I later got a copy of the module, and it's got almost nothing in it. It says, "Here's a picture of a ghoul." Okay, so the DM had actually made up what happens when you interact with a picture of the ghoul or the picture of the statue and so on, came up with tables for all the different spell effects that could happen and so on. And then a different group I was in had said, Tegel Manor, oh my God, that is the most horrific adventure ever. And I'm like, what? And yeah, they had, the DM there had turned everything into a killer content.
So, yeah.
Make it your own.
Uh-huh. Let's see, interesting. Guess none of us actually love Quest for Glory, just the stories it enabled us to create in our heads.
Precisely.
Yes, it's your story. We just provide the...
to the extent that we did well, we provided a sandbox for you to have those stories in.
Create those stories. Jaw drops when reading up a few of the Google links about the Coles. Oh my God, you're those Coles? Big.
Well, it's called Big Fish in a Small Pond.
Yes. We are big fish
in
a tiny, tiny pond. Yes, but we are those Coles. Yes,
we are famous in our own minds.
Yeah. Belsar said, I think a lot of the most popular IPs are there because of their rich world and lore that facilitates so much fan work, etc. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so much stuff based on Tolkien, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
He only wrote a few books, but man, a lot of people played off it.
Benso
Minben?
Yeah. Minben? No,
Minben.
Minben. Pick up vase, grab vase, inspect vase, look at vase, but then it can't be the vase. Yes, inspect the vase.
That was the famous bug in Leisure Suit Larry 2, I think it was. You had an airsick bag you'd gotten from the airplane, and you needed to create a Molotov cocktail by putting the airsick bag into the bottle, something like that. And Al had miscoded his use of the parser, and instead of "the" being a throwaway article that could be there or not be there, he had explicitly typed in "the." And so the phrase only worked if you had said insert the bag into the bottle.
So,
and if you typed insert bag into bottle, it failed, and you assumed that you were doing it all wrong.
Yeah, Cephalus Squid says AI parser to game code is kind of an interesting question. How to match the intention to the code? Yes. let's see.
What we did is we tricked people. We put in a quick key, so if you hit Control A, it typed "ask about" for you, and then we had lots of responses to ask about.
Right, you could put in a keyword of what you wanted to ask about.
Control L gave you "look at," so we had lots of responses to look at.
So you wouldn't have to type those words out, and you wouldn't be able to mistype that as much. So I know a lot of people from foreign countries learned how to type, learned how to read using our games, and they certainly learned how to type because they had to. So I guess Chris T.S. Actually has played Quest for Glory in the past, yes. And welcome, you're now allowed in the Thieves Guild.
Let's see. Well, Quest for Glory is ancient.
Yes.
We started it in, I went to Sierra in 1988. The game came out at the end of 1989. And our last Quest for Glory 5, came out at the end of 1998, so early 99. So that was really basically only a 10-year period
Yes, right.
for the Quest for Glory games. And let's see, so 1998 plus 5, that is a 25 years ago? 30.
You can do that math. I'm confident you
it's
can.
25 years ago.
Okay.
So
we
the
did
35 years since the first game.
Right. We did celebrate 30
Yeah, we
years.
had shirts that said 30 years of glory.
Yes. So, yeah. Chris says, laugh. A bunch of people I played with back through the 80s and 90s are going to freak out when I told them I chatted with you. This is awesome.
Well, just have the right questions
and
for
look,
us.
you didn't actually get the Transo.
Oh, I didn't. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Why didn't that work?
I don't know.
Transo U. I will click on it instead.
Okay.
There's my U.
There you go.
Okay, that's the Transolar U, and I don't know why it didn't work earlier.
Because that's our hero U. It's
that's the hero U. That's the big pun.
That's why I have the T-shirt on with the hero U on. Yes.
Summer days at hero U. Yep.
Yep. There it is. It was a T-shirt, as I said, we gave out at PAX West 4 years ago. 5 years ago?
Ancient history?
Ancient
yeah,
history,
something like that.
To all the people that came
it was probably 2019. So 4 years ago.
Yeah, okay. And Roadworks Gaming said
it feels like 10.
You'd probably provide a list of room APIs to the language model and then the player's input. I always assume something like ChatGTP would be smart enough to call the correct underlying function and handle the response.
It could be. There have been people using ChatGPT to write code, and apparently he writes actual working code.
So it's getting there, yes. They do this every 2 weeks. Bring your friends over. Yeah,
we need. If we get a few hundred regular people on here, then Twitch will turn us into a partner. Of course, if we did this every day instead of every 2 weeks, it would also take over our lives entirely.
Right, yeah.
And since my life is pretty much not getting work done, I could be not getting work done while streaming.
Yeah, really. We could stream World of Warcraft or whatever else we do in this life. Let's see. Roadworks Gaming said, I tried something similar with interaction on web pages, and you're right, it's not 100%. Occasionally it misbehaves. I'd say it's about 60%, maybe a little better.
Okay, that's a start.
Yeah, it's getting there. Yeah, really.
So 60% plus human interaction, human intervention, that you can make it better.
Yes. I would probably try my experiment again with
GPT-4.
Back when I did that experiment, I was using 3.5, which is like a child compared to an adult.
Yeah, it's like a child compared to a 10-year-old. So I mean, or a teenager. So it's GPT-4 is much better, but it's not fully there yet.
Yeah, and Chris says, lol, we did that all the time with, hey guys, I found something quirky. Forgive me if it's a bit janky. Let's go.
Or the famous, the World of Warcraft famous one is Leroy Jenkins. The guy runs into the middle of the battle.
There's a question that did not get posted because of the term bull dyke. Okay.
Let's see.
That got flagged.
Held a message for expired and not posted chat. Sorry. Arlo Hero asks, was there ever a cat fight at Sierra between Lori and Roberta? No. But because Lori was jealous, Roberta was getting hate mail for being a bulldyke feminist.
Yes.
No, that was.
It has to be misspelled properly.
Yeah, it's a feminist. It's the most femin.
It was. She was the most feminist.
She was the bulldyke feminist because she had Rosella as the main character in
And
King's
she would
Quest.
get a lot of hate mail.
And obviously, only young boys played King's Quest,
And so, yeah.
and therefore she was forcing them to play as a girl, and that was horrible. So everybody laughed at that email, but no,
Roberta was
nobody got mad at her.
anything from being a bull dyke feminized. She was the opposite. She was a very
She was a
feminine,
fat wife.
sweet
Yeah.
woman.
I mean, she was
still is probably, but you know.
I mean, very strong, independent woman,
Yes.
but also.
But she had a persona of a very, very sweet person. And so, no, I was never jealous she was getting hate mail. I had my own variety of hate mail, so we were, but I love that bull dyke feminized was just the funniest line.
Yeah, we got the hate mail for the Star of Solomon because it was a Jewish star, and therefore the evil wizard was Jewish.
Yeah.
And we got the hate mail for the speaking in
a dialect.
not Uhura. It was
Uhura, yeah. Uhura
was it Uhura?
speaking in dialect.
Oh yeah, speaking in dialect, and the only character speaking in dialect was the black woman, and obviously didn't speak proper English. Everyone else spoke proper English. And, well, yeah, maybe nobody should have spoken proper English.
No, they all spoke different dialects. So
Yep.
therefore, yes.
So yeah, we've gotten our share of the hate mail.
Let's see. I didn't realize it was that old. Let's see.
Only about 2 or 3 of them are still alive in those days. Sadly, that is sad.
That is sad.
But yeah, that was a lot of the people we worked with at Sierra died fairly young. So Carlos Escobar didn't work directly on our games, but he was
Ken
always a
Nishaway
personality.
did, who was one of the major.
And Ken Nishaway was the lead artist on Quest for Glory 2. Died young, and we had a number of people from Sierra have passed away.
And Chris T.S. says a heart attack reminded me that, oh my gosh. Yeah, you have to be careful. We are all getting a little bit older.
I'm just courting diabetes because I refuse. I'm a lifetime sugarholic and have not come to terms with the fact that my body doesn't like as much sugar as I like.
Oh. Seriously, though, it must be nice to retire and just play retro adventure games for the rest of your life. Yeah, well,
maybe.
I doubt that you'll be playing them all the time. There's still a lot of life to do it, yes. But it is fantastic, believe me, says Chris, yes.
And, and when you think about it, it's really not any different from people whose life revolves around bowling or people whose life revolves around playing bridge or poker or watching television or browsing the internet.
It's just more useful.
It's just,
I think games keep your mind alive. So that was 10 years ago you had that heart attack. Yikes. So an aged body with a 22-year-old mind buzzing through running games with our groups get together. Yeah. That's, yeah.
That's the other thing is when you're 20, a lot of people kind of set their lives at that point. So my mom, who passed away earlier this year at the age of 98, constantly got a smile on her face when she remembered when she was in the Navy Waves. Well, she got in the Navy Waves when she was 20 or 21 and was there for 3 or 4 years. It only existed that long, through the end of World War II and a little after, and then they disbanded. But, she remembers that as a defining period of her life. She remembers that she once worked in an office and thinks, she was pretty good at that. Well, maybe she was, maybe she wasn't, but that was only a few years.
Yeah, she only worked a couple years.
And, but yeah, these things that we do when we're younger, and, I looked at myself, so I was,
Your tastes in music. Yeah. I'll get fixated on what you did at
I'm a big fan of Pentangle and, British, folk, pop folk from the 60s and 70s.
And Roadworks Gaming said female characters? Oak! What was the equivalent in the 80s? Feminized, the feminist thing was thrown around a lot.
Well, feminism was, but it was also, but it was the satanic Dungeons and Dragons also.
Well, yeah.
Any kind of role-playing was an attack upon religion and churches,
yes.
Which it kind of is, because playing role-playing games makes you think. Reading makes you think. And if you think enough, you start going back and reading the Bible and saying, well, it's okay, but it's not as good as Lord of the Rings. They could have plotted this better.
Yeah. It was the game box pick and storyline that attracted me to King's Quest to begin with. It was good to see a female protagonist in the game, and it was a gorgeous game.
It was. It was a beautiful, for being the last of the 16 color artwork games. I mean, it's beautiful.
And whoa, Carlos Escobar passed away. Stuart Goldstein.
A long time ago.
I don't know what his thing. Pablo. Don't know what happened to Pablo Guinness.
I'm not sure. Bob Heitman is still around. He did have a series of strokes. So his health is not. But Bob Heitman got into a folk music band, and
he's been doing
he's been playing at local winery and stuff like that with his group. So he's definitely having a great retirement. But his wife passed away this year.
So things happen. Benjamin then says, I am from the Netherlands, and talking about where I live is hard without having the chat box going insane with that word.
Are you from Antwerp, Belgium? No.
Let's see. Chrisetia says, woohoo, found access to a retro browser. Quest for Glory. Reminiscence coming up. Oh, yeah, don't believe me. Oh, sorry about your mom. Remember you were talking about her when she was still alive. Yeah, we came down to live in San Diego area.
Yeah, so we've been here for the last 3 years because we were taking care of her. And that's, caregiving is a huge imposition on people. I mean, you really have to define your life by it.
Yep.
We're going to see more and more of that as people live a long time.
Yeah. Belzar says, our younger years tend to be formative because that's when we're the most impressionable. In my humble opinion, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, I think of myself as a bridge player and a bowler and so on because I did those things when I was in my 20s. And, I still do. I play bridge all the time.
You should release a patch for all your games to make the title be Heroes Quest now. Yeah, right. Let's see. I think part of that is having kids. No time to keep up with everything else. Yeah.
Well, one of the things, we were told we couldn't have any stuff out of Quest for Glory in the Hero U series because... Activision might sue us. Well, it turns out first of all, they're not really interested in going after a tiny indie developer. But I realized that all I have to do is say, this was inspired by Heroes Quest, and therefore it wasn't inspired by Quest for Glory.
Clearly, we should use
so they don't have the
Heroes
trademark on it anymore.
Yeah, we should have used Heroes Quest more on, but
I've done that a couple
Benzo, his wife did go to Antwerp a few weeks, not even an hour drive. God.
Shocked it wasn't blue.
Yeah, I mean, an hour drive from us, we can get up to L.A. and to Disneyland.
Oh, almost. We can get to Disneyland.
We can get to Disneyland. We can't quite get it to L.A.
L.A.'s a couple hours away.
And we can also, an hour drive, we can get down to Mexico. I mean, we can get to another country from here.
So, Belksar says caregiving is a full-time job and then some, and yet is, and then playing World of Warcraft's a full-time job and then some. So the question is, how do I actually... deal with the commitments that we've made for coming out with games and stuff, and lately I've become a little bit less stressed about that and said, maybe I'll just be a little slow on it, and it'll take me a few more years. Yes. It'll get done when it's done.
Yeah. Yes. Let's see. You could totally be the new granddad from the Quest for More Glories forum, dude.
There we go.
And I'm in a few online groups. Many are shocked when they see an old graybeard. After my hooliganism and constant responses.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, old graybeard.
Old graybeard.
Yeah, you're getting to be.
Yeah, well, I was going to shave before the stream, and I said, I had a beard on when I was working at Sierra, so.
And Hero 2, I need to buy Activision stock and then submit a shareholder's proposal to drop any lawsuit they file against you. No, but you might have to do it with Microsoft.
I bought Mattel stock, or whatever the holding company was, when they bought Wizards of the Coast.
Hasbro.
Oh, Hasbro, yeah. Hasbro stock, and I didn't make any money off of that. Maybe I should have kept it forever.
Yeah, so... Microsoft is still planning on buying the whole Activision thing, which means we would be part of Blizzard again, and all of our licenses would now be Microsoft.
Yeah, what's the guy's name? The president of Microsoft is really into or the president of the gaming division anyway,
Yeah,
is really into classic games. And he talked about some of the Sierra games that we'd never heard of.
Yeah, so he would be interested in
I don't know if he'd be interested in Quest for Glory,
but he would be interested in bringing back those games. So you know, we really had to hope that the Microsoft deal goes through.
Yeah, UK had originally blocked the merger between Microsoft and Activision, and then they restructured the proposal in a way that UK has said, oh, okay, I guess that's all right then. Basically spun off the online stuff. So I guess that means World of Warcraft will actually be owned by Ubisoft.
Yeah, it's going to be
that'll be weird.
Yes. Let's see. Christy S. says, one guy thought he was older than me. I'm getting into my 40s now. I think I'll hand the reins over to you, young fella. Imagine his surprise when he found out I was 20 years older than him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we decided long ago that we weren't going to grow up. I mean, it was just part of our, the whole thing. I won't grow up. I won't stop having adventures. I won't stop enjoying life.
Unfortunately, I've simulated a grown-up many times, and that's very stressful. It's not much fun.
Yes, having to be a grown-up is...
It can be fun. I mean, it's a role-playing game. It's fun for a while, but it's when you feel obligated to do it, then it's not so fun.
Yeah, Kieran X says it looks like it's going through. The UK is set to approve it. We shall see. And
some BTS stories for the movie Pearl Harbor. Is that back to school? I don't know.
Wait a second. Arlo is just going down there. My company's former president was a former Microsoft exec too. Small world. Stuart
Mulder was our producer on which Quest for Glory 4?
I don't know. He wasn't.
That was Tammy.
He was on. He was my producer on Mixed Up Fairy Tales.
Okay. Anyway, Stuart went on to head the game division, the Xbox game division at Microsoft for a while, and then moved on to some other things.
He did a lot of games, actually.
He did the Nancy Drew series and
a lot of girl games. He went to.
I think it was Her Interactive he worked with.
Reminds me of some BTS stories from the movie Pearl Harbor. They said someone was doing all the those tricks and hot dogging stunts in World War II era aircraft they were using in the film. And then when the plane landed and the pilot got out, it was an old guy who had piloted those during the World War II.
Well, that's you need to do it right.
You need somebody that behind the scenes. Thank you. Yes, those who pilot.
Behind the scenes. Thank you.
Yes. And
I like back to school.
Back to school. Yes. K-Dub says adulting sucks sometimes. Until you hit a game aisle in a store or see every Lego set you ever wanted as a kid and you could just actually buy them. Yeah, really. That's the thing. Yes. My son did, and my granddaughter has taken it up.
Your son was a World War II pilot?
No, I don't think that's the same conversation.
When they talk about their plans when I grow up, they then look at me and said, so what are you going to do if you
grow up? Yes. Their friends find it hilarious. Really. Exactly. And Arlo says, the way I look at it, adulting can be fun if you make sure to do all the things you dreamed about one day when you were a kid. When I hit my midlife crisis, will I have Leisure Suit Larry adventures? Only time will tell.
So earlier this year, I bought a 3-pack, 3-day passes for both of us to Disneyland and California Adventure. And we decided to split them and go on different weeks so that we could have more time to experience it. And first we did Disneyland and proceeded to catch something awfully similar to COVID and be sick for 3 months. So barely managed to squeeze in the last 2 tickets at the end of the period. So lost my mask in the middle of it, and that turned out to be a problem.
Yep, but we still had fun.
Yes. And got in a lot of walking, so it was very healthy returning to childhood.
Yeah, really. You're healthier that way, yeah.
But, now we can afford to go to Disneyland. It's so expensive. We say, that's expensive. Okay, no problem.
It will be expensive for, when that's your vacation, when you're not doing these European trips or these, the boat tours and things like that. If you're not spending your money on big ticket items like actual, clothes or everything like that, you can actually do things. just realized you stopped coughing. Yes.
Yeah, I've been
yes.
sick, I think, twice in the last year for 2 or 3
And
months
his
each
cough
time.
will never go away, and then suddenly it's gone.
And
Yeah.
then it was just suddenly gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like, okay, that's permanent feature of me now.
Yep.
There.
There's
your
just
cough.
for it, yes, and that was New Year's or something. Yeah. Okay, well, that's about 4:30, so we can start wiping. it
Oh,
up.
we had our 2.5 hours. Well,
Yeah.
well done.
Leisure Suit Larry taught me so much life lessons. Like gambling is only profitable when you can save and run the store.
There we
There's
go.
an important life lesson. That is for sure. That is a good one. Yeah. Yes, let's see. Arlo here. Yes, I'm going to sneak on a cruise and not eat the spinach dip.
Good plan.
Yay! And since dresses have pockets, I can store it for later for nefarious purposes.
Ooh.
Important life lessons. You never know what you'll learn from a game.
We did go on a Disney cruise with our son and our grandson, Elio, who's like 2.5 years old now. And that was actually a lot of fun. Our cabin was...
3-day tour.
It was a 5-day tour, I
It
think.
was not. Huh?
4?
4-day tour. Chris T.S. just subscribed. Thank you for
Well,
subscribing.
welcome to the subscribers.
Yeah.
And we will be back in 2 weeks. We do this every
Yes.
2 weeks.
Yes. There we go. A lot of sheep there. The you. Exactly. We do this every 2 weeks. We yak about anything and everything.
And sometimes we have
And
a theme.
sometimes we have a theme. We always have a theme. in
We don't
theory.
always stick to it.
We don't stick to it. But we do have a theme, yes.
The
Why
theme
aren't
is-
your kids ever on these live streams? Are they not Quest for Glory fans or not? Yeah.
Well, our son learned by the 60 and 80-hour
Thank you.
weeks that we're putting
Hype
in.
train incoming now
Hype
that
train! Now that we're almost done.
Thank you for the stream. Thank you. Love
Yeah,
talking to you.
Michael learned by being basically a latchkey child, or actually being a crawl on the floor at Sierra while we were working late, that he never wanted to work in the game industry.
Yes, it's a good lesson to learn. Yes.
So he got into marketing and is doing very well for himself. But he plays lots of games.
Yes. It's
He,
just
he
because,
loves
yes.
Japanese role-playing games.
Yeah, kids interested in
And
our
Korean.
interests? Really? Yeah, really. Yeah. Well, we usually are the object lesson for our kids. This is what will happen if you grow up like us.
Yep. Beware, beware.
Yeah, I started software development because I like games.
Yeah, I can
Thank
software
God I
kid
never
too.
ended up in game development. Yeah, exactly. If you actually work in the game industry, you never get to play games, and it's just the way of life. Yes.
And, I had a stressful time in software development before I got into games. So,
Yeah, right. Yes.
I was working in San Jose and getting sicker and sicker every year from the pollution and stuff there. And it turns out also the weeds and the pollens that they have there really touched me off. And going out to the Sierras was a respite from that. And you'd think that being in the wild would be worse, but it was actually much better.
Yeah.
So I got healthier working for Sierra. And then we got our own kinds of stress at Sierra.
Saying games are to get you interested, but you can't actually go into making them. Yes. This is great. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Yes, a wonderful weekend and a wonderful life. And play games, have fun, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
And visit a fall festival.
Yeah, that's it.
Du liegst mir im Herzen, du liegst mir im Sinn.
I'm thankful
Ist
you
das
both
nicht
went
ein
into games
Schnitzelbank?
because look at the fantastic things you gave to all of us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
oh, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say
okay.
that. I could have made a lot more money in my career by staying in San Jose and doing,
Software publishing.
doing software engineering.
Yep.
In whatever, software engineering type things, I would have been in the hundreds of thousands of salary and that sort of thing. And I would not have this legacy of having created, about a dozen beloved
So
games.
sometimes your life takes weird turns, and it isn't always the way you want it, but you can always try and make the best of your life. No matter what.
So we've got something to be remembered by,
And
and
something to be
something
thankful
for us
for.
to remember, and so yeah.
All right. Happy fall
And all
to
you
all.
fans, yay!
We get to be with you.
By the
How
way,
about
you're
Great
only
Sale?
62% of the hype train, but we'll probably shut down before the 2 minutes and
Yeah.
10 seconds. So we will never get the hype train completed.
You weren't making hundreds of thousands at Sierra? I thought Sierra was at least playing bare minimum for software
Well,
development.
first of all, there's this thing called inflation, but second, I took a 1/3 pay cut
Yes,
starting at
yeah.
Sierra. They actually were giving me a 40% pay cut initially, and Lori broke down and said, "We can't live on that."
Yeah.
And they immediately
Your gifting subscriptions. Yes, thank you.
There we go. We're at 93% on
You
that
know,
train. We might get to it.
Yes, we might before we...
So yeah, but yeah, I started at. I went for a $40,000 a year job. Hype train.
Yay! Just because we can say we made it.
We
Thank
made
you very
it.
much,
Thank you
King
all.
Cubs. Yes, let's see.
Hype train.
And Belzar says, how many of us could predicted how our lives ended up? Yeah, right. You never know, but you just get here and enjoy the show.
Statistics are really good for telling you what has already happened.
Yes.
They're not. They only give you probabilities for what might happen.
Yeah.
And 90% is not 100%.
Hey,
That's another story.
It's games. That's fun. What do you need to get paid for?
Yeah, right. Well, that's how the game producers
yes, that
think
was
about
the theory. That was
people working for them.
Why they could try, pay so little for us.
Ken Williams also had a theory that he should never hire anyone from the game industry because he wanted fresh new ideas, but he also didn't want to pay him more.
That's it.
It was a little bit of each.
Okay. See y'all next time.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Bye-bye.